Hello and welcome to Kody and Korbin Have a Podcast, the show where two former roommates talk about the Hunger Games, the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
I am honored to introduce to you the creator of the Hunger Games themselves, Dean Casca Highbottom.
I have summoned you all here for the 10th annual reaping ceremony, in which we choose 2 children from each district to fight to the death in the Hunger Games.
From District 12, Lucy Gray Baird.
There has been a change this year. As a mentor, Mr. Snow, your role is to turn these children into spectacles, not survivors.
What does my mentor do besides bring me roses?
I do my best to take care of you.
You really want to take care of me in that arena? Start by thinking I can actually win.
I'm Lucky Flickerman, first ever host of the Hunger Games.
Enjoy the show.
5, 4,
Enjoy the show.
3, 2.
Enjoy the show.
Run.
Enjoy the show.
What happens in there, fueled with the terror of becoming prey. See how quickly we become predator? See how quickly civilization disappears?
There's a natural goodness built into us all. We can step across that line into evil, or not.
You hear that, boy? It's the sound of snow falling.
How wonderful that we all get to be here for someone's final performance.
It's not just about winning.
Everything is about winning.
You're monsters! All of you!
It's the things we love most that destroy us.
Back-to-back ballad flicks as we teased last episode with the Ballad of Ricky Bobby. We're coming at you with the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I'm your host, Korbin's a Vocal, and joining me as my co-host, he's volunteering himself as tribute. It's Kody Webb. I know it's wrong movie, but you know, still. Kody, what's going on, man?
I was actually going to say that too, so you kind of stole my line, but I'll bounce off it
do
too.
Your
I think
voice, because you do a great impression.
Oh, well, I do it. I don't know. I volunteer as tribute. That's all I got.
Yeah.
But that was pretty bad. But I'm excited for another ballad, back-to-back ballads. I don't think that'll ever happen again on KHAP here, so I'm pretty excited. I think it's gonna be a fun episode.
Yeah, we might have to dive deep if we're gonna find another movie with even ballad in the title. I don't think I'm familiar with too many.
Yeah. That'll be our mini draft too when we find it. But yeah,
ballad movies. Of course, we're not doing this episode alone, though, Kody. We have a very special guest. We had to bring in a literary expert to discuss both the book and the movie adaptation. Welcome back for the 6th official time, although that's honestly, the number's much larger, on the show, the host of MK300, MIne Nacke. What's going on, Mina?
How's it going, guys? 6 times officially?
Officially,
That's
as a
crazy.
guest. You also
That's
were
crazy.
there for the trivia episode and then for 25 and everything
I
else.
know. I'm a
Background of many episodes.
I'm a moderator many a times, but it's good to be back. Happy to talk about a movie that is a book adaptation. They're some of my favorites. So.
And you specifically requested, you asked Kody, said, Kody, can we do this movie on the podcast? So why?
Why me? Why did you pick me?
Well, I know that if I'm gonna get to do something on the podcast, I have to ask Cody's permission. So that's why I had to ask Kody.
true.
He's the big boss around here.
That makes sense. I make all the decisions. Yeah.
I mean, look at that mic. Of course, you make the decision.
If you're an audio only listener, you've missed out on Cody's new mic.
I still haven't figured out how to turn the color off. Eventually, I think we'll figure it out. But we're recording like back to back here as well. So if you've seen our last episode, Actually, no, that's not even relevant. If you've seen our first Friday 5 episode,
First Friday
so this one will
5.
come out first, actually. So, well, maybe not actually. December's tomorrow. Forget it. But yeah, we'll get the colors off eventually. I gotta figure it out.
December's tomorrow.
You didn't read the instruction manual of your microphone, and you haven't read this book, and neither have I.
No.
But Mina has read the book, so she's here to, again, provide some insight and kind of fill in any gaps we might have. I would say this feels like a very faithful adaptation of the source material, almost to a fault in some regards, in my opinion. But Mina, what is it about this book that you wanted to talk about specifically, this book and movie that you wanted to talk about on the podcast?
I think it's just been a while since we've had something Hunger Games to really enjoy. So I wanted to bring that back because I love them and I thought they'd be fun to talk about with you guys.
And to be fair, you and Natalie kind of teased this a little bit. You talked about it when you guys hosted for April Fools. You talked about the Hunger Games trailer, I think, that had just released.
We sure did. Yeah, that was crazy. I've talked to Natalie about this. She's a big fan of the movie and the book. So, I mean, I asked to do this podcast before even seeing the movie, I think. So I'm always a big fan of just talking about book adaptation movies with people who haven't read the book, because I think whether or not they're faithful, they are always vastly different than the book, just because you can't do the same thing with what you can in writing in a movie in that way. So,
and it vastly changes the way you interpret the thing you view. So obviously, like the way Kody and I, felt on watching it, I've seen it now twice. Kody's seen it once.
I've seen it twice.
You've seen it twice. We all have, different perspectives that I think we'll have an interesting conversation. And I think we all like this movie to varying degrees. And you'll have to stay tuned for the rest of the episode to see where.
Any bets now? Who has the higher score?
I don't know. I think me and Korbin, it'll probably be close just because our systems are a little bit weird. But I would not bet on Mina for the lowest score.
Hunger Games is hot in the streets. This movie has made over $200 million worldwide and is continuing to rise up, as it is only in the now third weekend of its release. It was on my fantasy team in our little movie fantasy league with the Rough Cut retrospective. So finally having a good of a hit. My rest of my team has not been performing as highly, but shout out to the Hunger Games and hopefully Wonka coming up. But clearly, this movie is resonating with people in our generation. And I think the original trilogy was somewhat important to all three of us in our own unique way. I mean, even in our first season, we did a 2010s movie draft and we chose a J-Law category just because of the impact that she had on movies in the 2010s. And it really all started and began with the original Hunger Games trilogy. I think we were a little bit too late for Twilight, and Hunger Games was like the most successful version of the young adult novel adaptation that we got to experience. There was other ones like Percy Jackson, outside of Harry Potter, of course, but that again was almost before our time, at least at the start of it. So I think Hunger Games is in a really interesting spot for us. Speaking of going to the theater and seeing this movie, Kody, tell us about it. What do you remember about the experience? Do you remember watching it very well?
Do you remember? I do recall watching it, unfortunately. No, but I did not see it opening weekend. So I didn't see it Saturday or Sunday, but Mondays at work, I usually have half days. And so I went and just checked it out when I got off work Monday. Pretty good experience for me. I feel like I'm kind of the guy for some reason who kind of enjoys like an empty theater. And there's nobody else in there, so I could make like my little snickering remarks and like laugh at the screen throughout. So that was fun. But yeah, I had a good experience. I'll go into a bunch more likes, dislikes, but overall I'd say it was pretty good.
Mina, tell the people about our viewing experience, because of course the first time was together, and then we can share some insight on our secondary experiences.
Yeah, so the first time we saw it, we went to the Alamo Draft House with Dylan, I believe, another former guest of the pod.
Never been
not a solo guest. He was on the draft episode, though.
The Heart Draft. We did have Dylan.
Didn't you guys do a roommates versus roommates thing where he was?
Yeah, that was the DeHart
with
draft.
Connor.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry,
So we've had him
Regardless,
for that.
he was
but
on the pod once.
future guest of the pod officially in a regular episode. I'll say that. We'll get him on here.
Okay. But Dylan was out visiting us here. We went to go see that at the Alamo, which is always a fun place to go see a movie because I love getting to eat while watching a movie, especially a longer one, and not just having popcorn or the low quality pretzel bites at AMC. So
and if you're me and
that
you
was
get them,
fun.
you just always get grease on your pants. So
Yeah, he always walks away looking ridiculous. But something fun about the Alamo, it always plays clips before the movie starts that are related to the movie. And one of the clips that they played was a bad lip readings from the Hunger Games. And that was so nostalgic for me because the bad lip readings, I feel like, were something everyone was watching when these came out too. Like they were in their early 2010s, they were like so big. And I just was like, oh my God, now I need to go back and watch all these bad lip readings on YouTube after this. But overall, it was a pretty solid first watch for me.
It speaks, I mean, that speaks to the overall cultural impact, you know, the YouTube fan theories, the tutorials of how to braid your hair like Katniss, you know, it was a huge thing. Kody, what was your relationship, I guess, specifically to the original series?
I mean, I enjoyed it. I didn't watch the original movie in theaters. I think I caught it on like Amazon a couple years later. But I like Catching Fire a lot. I think Catching Fire is an underrated movie and one of my favorite like YA genre films for sure. The other two past it, I think, obviously have mixed reviews from critics and fans, and I'm not massive fans of either one of them, if I'm being honest. But I enjoy the series overall. I think, kind of like you said, the lead actors I think are really good. You can't go wrong with J Law. You throw in a little Woody Harrelson in there, I'm going to be on board. I want to say as well, I forgot my theater experience. You guys were talking about food. I actually snuck in Jimmy John's to my local Regal theater.
Yes.
They don't have any security. So like Mina said, it was a bit of a longer movie. And I was coming off lunchtime. I was like, oh, I got to sneak this in. So that was fun too.
Where did you stick it? Possibly you could have hidden that, Kody. That's an interesting.
What a question. Why did you phrase it?
Basically, I just wore a sweatshirt. And then I was wearing a coat too, so I just put it like in the pocket of the sweatshirt. Respect. Yeah, not anywhere weird, Korbin. Come on.
Well, I didn't know if you walk in and be like, "Is that a sandwich in your pocket, or are you just excited to see me?" I don't know what's going on.
No, I'm sneakier than that. Come on, man. These guys, they didn't even know what happened. They had no idea.
Gotcha. Yeah, I enjoy the Alamo Drafthouse, and it was definitely necessary for the first watch. Second time around, which was last night, I went and saw it by myself. Sat in the back of the theater of the AMC. And it was a packed house on the Wednesday night, 6 p.m. Crowd out in Jersey City. The people were there. The people were also heavily on their phones, Kody. It was bad. It was like 10 plus throughout the runtime. And when you're sitting in the last row, you can see them all. Obviously, I didn't care as much because I'd already seen the movie once, and I had like my notepad and I was trying to write stuff down. And it's an epidemic, man. Shit's bad out there.
These damn kids out here, man.
These damn kids. I think I will say the crowd was my contemporaries, or even maybe older. Like it felt like all people around our age that were in there with us. The guy over to my left at about I want to say the hour 40 mark when they're in District 12, 12 hanging out. Maybe that's a 2 hour mark. I want to say he was swiping on Tinder, so you could really tell the vibes of the theater were super high. An alarm went off at one point. A guy got a phone call, got up, answered it as he was walking out of the theater. Hello, what's going on? It was intense, man. There was definitely some talking. At one point, one person asked one person to put their phone away, but it's like, and they also didn't. And they did it to the whole crowd. They were like, "Hey, can you put your phone away?" And then everyone continued. It was weird. It's a strange time.
Sounds like a good time, man. A lot of stuff happened. Yeah.
My second viewing was also sold out. It was sold out as well. Actually, I snagged the last ticket to bring a second friend with me. I initially had planned to go see it with one of my coworkers because we both decided we would read the book and then go see it together. Spoiler alert, she did not end up reading the book, so I didn't feel that bad about seeing it.
And spoiler alert, you told her you were going to see it. Yeah, and spoiler alert, you lied and said you were seeing it with her first.
Indeed, and if she listens to this will be when she finds out I've seen it twice, and she was the second time.
that.
Just welcome future guests to the pod as well.
Yeah, come on.
Let's bring on Jane. The freaking work was crazy yesterday, so we had another coworker that needed to go out and get a drink with us. So we went and got a drink at the bar on top of Alamo at first and snagged her the last ticket. So she didn't sit by us, but we could see her head, in front of us. And Jane and Janiyah had never been to Alamo there, so that was their first time there. Jane's not a big movie person, but she was like, I feel like this is one movie I would love to see in theaters. So like getting another person into the theater, which I think is fun. I definitely think it was more enjoyable seeing it with her than it was Korbin and Dylan, because they just seemed annoyed and frustrated the whole time in the movie, whereas Jane actually seemed like she was enjoying herself. And so I was like, oh, I can actually have fun in this movie this time, whereas the energy was a little off the first time.
Not very good vibes come from Korbin and Dylan. Sounds like, yeah, not surprising.
Mina can always tell when I don't like a movie. She'll walk. I'll be like, I didn't really like that. She'll be like, yeah, I know. I got the vibe.
It just looks pissed.
Which I'll say, like, I like this. I'll say right off the bat as we get into our initial thoughts here.
Good morning, Vietnam!
As we haven't already spilled into them. I do like this movie. Generally, I think it has its flaws. I think it's like pretty long and overpacked. And like I said, because of the fact that it is so faithful to this like very dense book that it is adapting. And I even can imagine that there are a lot of things that are still left out. And, there's stuff on the second watch that I was able to pick up as, like, oh, they definitely just like added that in as like a detail that's probably from the original book, but isn't being explicitly, there for story purposes. It's just a detail. So it's stuff like that I can appreciate. But I think overall, I don't know if it's successful as a movie necessarily. And I hate to be this, I'm, the movie guy here, but like, maybe this would be better as like a TV series or like a mini, like 5-part, thing. And Mina and I just saw the Napoleon movie on last weekend. And that's another thing where it's just like, you're trying to pack way too much into, again, a 2-hour and 40-minute movie. And it's just not working for the structure of things. That's just generally how I feel about things. Get better at editing. I don't know. Cody's figured out how to turn off the sound.
I sneezed, dude. I had to sneeze.
Turned off the mic. Oh, that's the mute.
I got a mute. The light go off and Cody's whole body flailing.
That's a nice mute function.
I felt a sneeze coming for like 10 minutes, and it would have not.
I mean, I respect it. You were quick. We didn't hear the sneeze, but I couldn't handle the visual of you sneezing.
Oh, I read the instructions enough. But I agree with Korbin. I'll just jump in here with some minor thoughts. I completely agree. I think probably the book, like we're saying, like the book's always better. Like, come on, it always is. So I feel like Suzanne Collins being like heavily involved here, probably she's like, let's just do the book because it's good. But the problem with that is this is a 3-hour movie where I don't know if I can name more than like 2 or 3 characters, and there's probably like 100 altogether. So I think it's maybe just a little bit too jumbled. I think if you streamline it a little bit, or like you said, I think this would have been perfect. Like The Boys, like a 10-episode miniseries. I think this would have been mofo amazing. But there's a good movie somewhere in here. I just don't know if I can particularly see it. Also, we haven't mentioned the director, who I don't care enough to know their name, but
Francis Lawrence.
Yeah, it's the same guy who did
OG.
Catching Fire, and then the last 2 in the original series. Somebody else did the original one, but I think it's interesting, like his pairing with Suzanne Collins. I'm assuming like she has most of the creative control while they're on set, and that's why they probably keep working together, because she's kind of running the show behind the scenes, I would assume.
Yeah, I can't speak like specifically, but I do know he's been vocal about, like, he said he would never like want to do anything Hunger Games until she wrote the book. And it wasn't until she called them up and was like, hey, I have this book coming out, let's do a movie, that he wanted to do it. And he's even said now he wouldn't do anything else in the world, whether it be, a Hamish Gaines or a Finnick. He would not do it unless it's her story, is what he says.
Okay. That makes sense.
Not necessarily that she has to write a book, but, and similar to like J.K. Rowling doing the Fantastic Beasts, basically being the the story by credit, not necessarily the script writer, because we do have two, actual script writers on this movie, Michael Leslie and Michael Arndt, the double Michael pairing.
Shout out the Michaels. But yeah, I feel like that makes sense. Like they're kind of a decent duo working together, it seems like. Or maybe not. But other than that, I kind of want to talk about the title, obviously, too. Back-to-Back Ballads is amazing. I think this ballad has a bit more singing to it, which I want to hear your guys' thoughts. But I don't know why they didn't just kind of like sort of market this as a musical in a sense. Because I feel like it's pretty damn close to it. But I'll throw it to you, Mina. Is there like that much singing in the book compared to the movie?
Oh god, this gets way too nerdy. I need to like figure it out about like the way you make a
I want to hear
book
formatting, please. Yeah.
I know I don't want to talk about formatting because I'll go on for hours.
We love it.
Yeah, like she makes it's in stanzas then, and like they're in the center of the page, and it's the lyrics, and you'll go in the lyrics and it'll cut off and we're back into paragraph form because we're hopping away from the music and then we hop back into it, just the way like when they leave a room and they don't hear her and you see something else and then they hear her again. Like that movement in the movie was actually pretty spot on to how they would move through a song into back to narration in the book, which I thought was really interesting. All in all, like my initial thoughts of this movie just made me want to go back and watch the originals again. Like I left the movie being like, I need to go binge the other four. Like I just need to be back in this world. And I think that's kind of the power of Suzanne Collins, is like she's able to just throw you right back into this world, even though it's before the world we're all used to, and we're kind of getting into how it becomes that. You're still like, bam, here I am, and like you're back in it and you get it. I felt like the whole time while I was watching it, I was just going back and forth on whether or not what was happening actually happened in the book that way, or if it was different, which is always my problem when I've read the book first, because I'm like, fuck, no, that wasn't right. And then I had to like pull myself back out of it. Cody, your point of there being like only 4 characters you can mention, that's like the book. That's the same 4 characters they follow throughout the whole book. So like the other characters matter because their names matter in the Hunger Games trilogy. All of them basically connect with people in the original books in some way, shape, or form, which I think is really interesting. Kind of sticks with like the fact that like lineage is a thing in the capital, so your name is what you have.
A lot of nepo babies. I wouldn't ask too, it's your background as well, but is there a relation between this character we see and that like tiger character we see in like Mockingjay Part 2? They gotta be related or something, right?
It's the same woman.
It's the same person? That's awesome.
It's Tigress. Yeah. So Tigress
I knew they had the same name.
Snow's cousin. Yeah. Tigress is Snow's cousin. It's the whole thing in that too, is like she's got this horrible tie that she can't really get away.
Yeah.
Used to be a designer for the games, and then she was like out of fashion, so they cut out her tongue and stuff. She can't talk anymore, and like
stuff.
And I think this movie, that's the cool part about this book and the movie in general, is just like you get so much more detail about these minor characters in the books. Minus Snow, like he's a major character, obviously. So like it's just interesting playing off, because even at the end of the initial trilogy, you kind of like Snow. You're like, oh man, he was a deeper person than we were believing in the first 2 books. And in the whole beginning of this book, you're like, shit, I kind of like this guy. And like, I know he's going to be horrible, but like, there's got to be a really good reason why he becomes horrible, because he's not bad right now. He's just like traumatized. He's an orphan. He's trying to fend for his family and like make things work.
That leads me into a question I have, is like, how does this book / movie make you feel about the character of Snow in the original series? Like, does it make you feel empathetic, like more empathetic to him? Do you feel like he's a greater evil because of the things you see here? Do you think he's a loser just because like basically a lot of his he's mad because he's an incel and like a girl left him when he was 18 and like now that's haunted it? Like what do you get out of it? I guess both of you, what do you get out of it?
I think
and what do you think their intent is?
Yeah, I don't know what their intent is really. They could be trying to do anything, but I think what I like, and I guess this is a little bit of my good to play my cards early, but what I like about this movie is it does elevate like some of the things in the original Hunger Games movies on a rewatch. Like specifically that one song that Rachel Ziegler was singing, whatever. It's the one that's the same one.
The Hanging Tree.
Yeah, the Hanging Tree one.
There's
like
two songs. There's also like the lullaby that.
I mean, there's like 100 songs.
But I'm saying that from this movie, that like the whole thing is the song Katniss sings to Rue.
Yeah,
is also from this.
Exactly. But I think like going back and watching the original, movies, and like when Katniss starts singing that song and like Snow is on looking, I feel like that moment will be like 10 times more powerful, because it's like, oh shit, like I know exactly like when this guy heard this song last, or he's having like a Vietnam flashback in that moment. And same with like
or shit, just when he hears her name drawn in the
Yeah.
reaping. Like I feel like it makes his hate for her specific, like his draw towards her specifically, makes so much sense.
I think it just makes him a more interesting character in the later series, and I didn't think he was that interesting of a villain until like part 2 in a sense. But I like little callbacks too, like the Tigers thing. Like I feel like that connection, because in Mockingjay Part 2, I'm like, who is this like cheetah girl who just came up out of nowhere? But like actually knowing the backstory, that character is like a million times more interesting. So I think it just adds,
and that's
a little
explained
bit
in the
of
book.
depth.
That's one of those things that's just like kind
Yeah.
of cut out of the movies. I feel like her backstory, because like you know who that is. Like they explain. Like,
Do they? Oh, in the book.
No, in the book they do. That's
Gotcha.
the thing that's lost from
Yeah.
book to movie adaptation. Whereas at least
mean-
this, you get the basis to learn about it.
I feel like for me, this like doesn't make me feel like Snow's any better of a person. I think it just makes his choices in the books more interesting because there's actually a reason behind them now. Whereas before, it's just like, why the fuck would he have done that? Like, why all of a sudden, after all these years of being president, this one person's been getting under his skin so much? Like, what the hell is this about? I saw a post that was talking about the wardrobe choices, and that with every kill Snow has, the red of his suit is a deeper red. So he's that bright red of the Capitol students. And then at the end of the movie, he's like that deeper maroon color. So he's killed like 4 people now. 5, I guess, because if you count killing Peter Dinklage's character at the end. And then at the end of the Hunger Games, he's basically wearing like a black suit. But it's still red, but it's like basically black because he's just has so much blood on his hands. And I was like, that is such a neat detail. And when you think about the fact that the initial Hunger Games came out before this, like these are details that Suzanne Collins has been thinking about for so long. Like this has all been a plan because it all still fits perfectly. And I think that's the cool part about authors and world building, is that even if you don't do it to begin with, for the most part, there's a plan. Like all of these stories beforehand going into writing this. And I think that's the cool part about this, is you can tell that she cares and that things still work together.
Yeah, I think it definitely elevates the original trilogy, and I guess in a cynical way, you could say like the machine of capitalism, like it makes me want to go back and whatever streaming service they're on and go watch them, or it makes me want to buy the original books, and like that's why you make sequels, and that's why you make prequels, to fucking spin the machines and the wheels. But I think it's an interesting choice to kind of focus on that Snow character. We've seen some anti-heroes becoming more and more popular. Joker's the obvious one to pull from 2019. You're gonna make a movie about the bad guy. I just feel like this one is kind of also trying to make a movie about like a bunch of other things at the same time, and not necessarily doing all of them super successfully. And it's like, maybe if you just like focused more in on just Snow, and I'll get into some with the bad, but like there's aspects of like his ideas and like his plan of like how he wants to transform the games, or even like beyond that, like that to me is an more interesting story than like centering it around this singular event, I guess. So
I mean, that's part of the thing they cut out though from the books. Like it's also not just him. Like they kind of put it in, like kind of show you that Gaul's trying to push him towards a certain way in the movie, but like it's a whole class thing. Like they're never go to graduation thinking they're done. Like the Plinth Prize is announced way later in the story than it is in the movie. They don't know about it till like they're into the games a little bit. It makes things interesting.
Should have made the movie longer.
I mean, that's why it really should just be like a TV series. But basically, they just have so many different class assignments that lead you and show you all the thinking. Like they mentioned all of the betting that how that gets pulled in, and like all these different ways that's put together, and you start building why things are the way they are. I think it's just something you have to lose because there's not the fucking time for that in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to keep that because you're trying to like structure a movie around a big giant action set piece in the middle of it, and then you still have like 50 minutes that you have to deal with after that fact. So like you've got that task to worry about beyond like where do I fit in the deeper intricacies of gambling. But I would love to see it because I think there's a lot to say about our modern society in context of that. Let's go on to IMDB Known For.
Do I know you? I mean, where do I know you from?
And we're gonna start with the man that Cody's been talking shit on, Francis Lawrence.
I mean, his IMDb's not too steep. There's one other thing he did. I don't remember off the top of my head.
I Am Legend, baby.
His four are The Hunger Games Catching Fire, I Am Legend, Constantine, and The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part Uno.
And dos.
No, but just one. That's what his four is.
I know. I think it's a fair four. I mean, he's a Hunger Games guy. He's kind of bought into the franchise, it seems like. Constantine, I haven't seen for a decent amount of time, but from what I remember, I liked most of it. I mean, how can you go wrong with Keanu kind of in a mystical role? So that's cool.
I think they're supposed to be doing like a sequel or something.
Yeah.
And with Francis
maybe
Lawrence?
A prequel.
I don't know if Francis Lawrence is coming back, but I think for sure Keanu's coming back. So that would be really cool.
Any chance it's a prequel and they make Keanu look
director Francis Lawrence coming back for
is he
Constantine
attached?
too? Yeah.
Wow. Surprised he's doing anything other than Hunger Games. I'm excited for that. I'm definitely down for that. I mean, Catching Fire, like I said, is genuinely, I think, a really good movie. So I think this guy has the ability to make good movies. It's just sometimes he does and sometimes he doesn't. What do you guys think about I Am Legend? I don't know. I like that movie, but it's not like my favorite.
It's
depends on the ending you pick.
Right, yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the thing. It's a movie that's like, I don't even know. I know what the two endings are. I don't even actually know which one is the one that's like technically the theatrical release, but like
isn't the theatrical release the one that he dies?
He dies in the actual ending, right, Cody?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't think he does. I think I don't know. What are the two endings?
See, there you go.
One is he sacrifices himself, and
right. That's the original. Ending. He sacrifices himself, and the kid and the mom get to leave. And there's the other ending where he gets to live. That ending sucks. Okay. I like when he sacrifices himself.
I honestly don't remember.
I think he was like Will Smith dying.
No, it's a fucking more beautiful story.
Oh, more beautiful story. I personally,
I don't really like either endings, honestly, but
don't give a shit about I Am Legends. It scared me as a kid. I haven't watched it again as an adult because I'm still traumatized from my childhood.
In between the recording of this episode and the release of this episode, it was revealed that Will Smith and Michael B. Jordan are currently working on producing I Am Legend 2, in which they will be going with the mythology of the DVD version of the story to continue with I Am Legend 2.
But also, I had no idea who the hell the director was of this movie before looking on IMDb, and I went, well, no shit, he's the Hunger Games director. Yeah. That's cool.
You're not alone there. I think he's like the least marketed director of a franchise where he directs every movie ever. Like, he's done, what, 4 of these? I still don't know his name. Is Larry something?
The thing is, though, like, Larry something, like, other than big names that everyone knows, like Scorsese and shit like that, I don't know directors, so it doesn't matter if it's well marketed. I don't fucking know people, so like I don't care.
That's fair. If Suzanne Collins is attached, that's all really I feel like the fans care about.
Exactly.
What Francis Lawrence is a music video director, and from the late 90s to the mid to late 2000s, he directed music videos for Green Day, Jennifer Lopez, Incubus, fucking Britney Spears, fucking Justin Timberlake, Nelly Furtado, Enrique Iglesias, Timbaland, Seal, like literally Wyclef Jean, like all sorts of people.
So that's why the music stuff looks so fucking good.
Well, and that's why he's like, he's a guy he can be trusted like to do this stuff. This is where they used to get a ton of directors. I mean, David Fincher made his name, directing music videos. And he knows how to work under a budget and get something turned in. And like, he's a successful Hollywood screenwriter that like can make stuff look stylistically interesting. I don't think the compositions are like incredible, or the editing's incredible, or the acting's that fantastic always in his movies, but there is like a distinct set of style. And like you said, the music integration he knows how to direct like a song and a set piece. And I'm surprised he hasn't done like a full-on out musical. This one's not quite there, Kody.
It's pretty close, but that's cool. Shout out Timbaland and Nelly Furtado.
I do want to say we are in the age of the movie musical not being properly advertised as a musical, because Wonka's a musical, and Mean Girls the movie, the musical, is also a musical, and there's no singing in that fucking trailer. So
it looks pretty
I tell you what though, I would totally watch a musical directed by this guy. Like, as I think that's one of the things I really like about this movie is like the scenes where the band's playing and stuff like that. I think they're fun. You see like people in the crowd enjoying themselves. The band looks like they're enjoying themselves. I think it looks cool. It looks like a music video kind of. So I dig watching the music video directed by this guy.
Cody, did you watch the Apple TV Plus series C starring Jason Momoa?
Ooh. I have not seen that. Funny enough, former guest Colton Bourne is a massive Apple TV guy, and he did recommend that to me. I was like, I'm not watching that, but
I'm pretty sure the last time I saw Colton, he was talking about some fucking Apple TV show with Jennifer Connelly, the underground one. He's a big Apple TV head.
He loves Apple TV for some reason, but I'm guessing our boy Frankie here had something
3 episodes. 3 episodes as a director. He also did direct the Jennifer Lawrence movie Red Sparrow. So he sticks around with his people. Maybe he will make a musical with Rachel Zegler. That would probably be better than this.
I bag it.
Water for Elephants too, which is a terrible movie.
I've never seen it.
Robbie Pat, Reese Witherspoon.
I like him.
Not the best. Let's move on to our leading lady, Rachel Zegler. Her 4 are West Side Story, The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, Shazam! Fury of the Gods, and Y2K, which is a movie that is not even released. It is directed by, Cody, you ready for this? Kyle Mooney, star of former SNL's very own Kyle Mooney. You know who that is, Cody. Look him up.
I don't know.
If you see his face, you'll know who he is. 2 high school nobodies make the decision to crash the last major celebration before the new millennium on New Year's Eve 1999. The night becomes even crazier than they could have ever dreamed when the clock strikes midnight. This movie is coming out, I don't even know when.
Probably next year, I would guess.
It doesn't have like any art or anything. It also has Alicia Silverstone, which call back to a former episode that the 3 of us have done together here on this podcast. But yeah, it's really strange that this movie that has not been released is in her 4 and not, I mean, even like,
it beat out
the only
Snow
3
White.
movies, so yeah, why not Snow White?
Yeah, that's
the
true.
one that
if we're gonna do an unreleased movie, I think everyone fucking knows her from Snow White because she's getting so much fucking hate for it. Like,
I mean, to be fair, we do have to do an unreleased movie because she has only been in 3 movies.
Yeah.
But like, it should be Snow White. Or even
that's what I mean. I feel like that's the one people would know about. I've never even fucking heard of Y2K.
Yeah,
I think it was in 1999.
Did you look up Kyle Mooney?
I did look up. I like, he looks familiar, but I don't know him that well.
The one that looks like Cody.
If I like really long hair, maybe.
if you grew your hair out.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are probably right. Maybe they just didn't want to include Snow White because it's had a little bit of controversy. I don't know how IMDb really operates. I think they're all, Y2K sounds all right. I kind of just want to see Rachel Zegler more, if I'm being honest. And when I went and looked at this, I was kind of surprised that she hasn't been in just like little stuff like I had forgotten about. I guess Shazam is kind of the little stuff. Like, she's like barely in that movie. So shout out to that terrible piece of crap. But I think she's gonna be booming. I mean, she's gonna be one of the top working actresses, I think, pretty quickly here.
Do you think, like, if we got rid of like the Snow White controversy, because I think that kind of like sours her in a lot of people's brains, do you think this Hunger Games could have the same like stardom shoot that it did for Jennifer Lawrence? for her.
I think so. I mean, I don't know if they're gonna do a sequel to this movie per se. So I don't know if she'll like be a returning character in the franchise, but I mean something like this where just kind of getting her face out there with, the young people, I guess. I think she'll definitely pop off. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, her situation's a little bit different because it is weird. Like, she was basically plucked out of having never been in any movies, and like before West Side Story even was released, she was picked to be a Disney princess, and like, so like, it's clear Hollywood already is kind of rooting for, and I am as well because I think she is really fantastic. I don't think she's good in this movie, mostly because of I think she's just terribly miscast, but I think she has the potential to be a big star if she's put into the right movies. I think right now where her career is at, I don't know if I feel super confident because like you said, Shazam! Fury of the Gods, terrible movie. Her role is so weird and minimal in that. And it's, again, probably not the type of role she should be playing. West Side Story, she gets fucked because it's like still during the middle of COVID, it gets released, and her co-star is like a sexual assaulter. So like you can't even really promote the movie in the same way.
Yeah,
like she's
but I do
now
think
Snow White controversy.
I think that's the kind, and I mean, each of these cases, I think she's mostly getting fucked over by the people surrounding her, not really her. I mean, she kind of used the wrong words when talking about Snow White that made people kind of mad, but like, that's whatever. I think out of the movies she's been in, West Side Story is her type of movie. Like, I think she was really fucking good in that movie. Her voice is amazing. Like, I think she's gonna, when she starts getting in the right roles, she's just going to be going for it. It's going to be so much fun to watch her.
Did she get nommed for West Side Story? I feel like she did. No.
Really? That movie was surprisingly kind of pushed to the side at the Oscars.
Maybe like
nobody went and saw it. That's one of those weird things where it's like nobody cared.
Sad. Shout out Stevie, Mr. Spielberg. You think he's ever going to make a musical again? Probably not.
Ariana DeBose won an Oscar for that movie.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
For playing the role that also was Rita Moreno won an Oscar for.
Gotcha. That's what I was thinking of. Fair enough.
She was also really good in that.
Yeah, but overall, like, I don't know. I hope, this Y2K thing directed by Kyle Mooney is not necessarily the solution, but like, she's worked with Steven Spielberg. It'd be cool to see her like do something more serious in like a more dramatic sense and work with, another big director. I don't know, or even it doesn't even like she can do a romantic comedy too. It's just weird. She's doing a lot of like huge, big movies. I don't know. It's interesting. I am hopeful for the rest of her career.
I do like her with Tom Blythe though. Like I feel like they're good together. I think she just needs a good person across from her because I think that really helps her out.
Yeah, and that transitions us right on over to Tom Blythe. His four: Billy the Kid, The Gilded Age, Benediction, and Robin Hood. I can say I did not know this guy prior to this movie, and I don't know anything else on his IMDb. Kody, are you familiar with? Have you seen him in anything?
I've not. I think one time I almost watched that Russell Crowe Robin Hood movie, but I didn't do it.
Mina, have you seen that?
Yeah, sure have. You had to know that I was going to
see that. I figured.
Movie.
But it seems like he's just doing a lot of TV, which is cool. And again, playing my cards a little early, but I think Tom Blythe is really, really good in this movie. So I'm excited to see where he goes. Obviously, I think he's more just like a British, kind of character actor, even though he is doing Billy the Kid, which looks interesting too.
Yeah, he's the star. He was the titular Billy.
He is Billy. So yeah, I think this kid's really good. And again,
is this an Apple TV Plus? What is this on? MGM Plus?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, that just means it's like Amazon Prime.
I don't even know what that is, but yeah, I might have to check that out. But I think this kid will be pretty good for years to come too. A lot of young talent.
Do you remember him in Robin Hood, Mina? Did he stick out to you, or
I don't even really fucking remember that movie? I think I watched it in like 2010.
He plays feral. He plays the role. He plays the role of feral child. So I don't think it probably had a huge
I think we should watch that movie.
I'll throw up a screen out if I can find one. Yeah, so it's clear he hasn't done a ton of stuff. I think he's been waiting. He's been kind of grinding it out, looking for the role, and this is probably going to be it for him to
I think that's like the fun of these movies too. Like that was the same for the original cast as well. Like they'd been in stuff. Like Josh Hutcherson did the child acting stuff, so he had been in things. But
he's a Thura King.
this is like Bridge to Terabithia, bitch, please, come on. That's what everyone knows him from.
5 Nights at
But
Freddy's.
I feel like that's now he's an adult. But I just feel like that's kind of like the nice thing about this movie. And a lot of young adult like adaptations, they pick people that haven't been in shit before because people are going to go see it because they like the book. So they don't have to rely on like the main characters being those star-studded casts everyone knows. They can fill it in with the like outside characters being people that people know, you know, like casting Woody Harrelson, that drew people in, you know. But
Viola Davis, Peter Dinklage, Jason Schwartzman.
Yeah.
You keep your main people young and hot, and everybody's going to come see the movie. It doesn't really matter who they
Sure
are.
did.
And they were very successful on every front. Let's move on over to the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's start with the good. Kody, say something nice about Hunger Games, the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
I'm a nice guy. I get some good stuff to say here. Off the bat, I wanted to bring up my favorite part of the movie, and you guys might have told me if it's the same, but I really, really like Jason Schwartzman in this specific role too, as the Lucky Flickerman character. That's pretty much the only name I think I could pull off the top of my head here, but I thought he was really funny throughout. He kind of, obviously the Hunger Games is, at least I think, is the most interesting part of this movie by far. And him kind of being there, just giving this like witty narration this entire time, I thought was really good. And he had me chuckling throughout. And then his little flick joke, I don't know about that. Obviously it matches his name, and obviously it's, you know, again, Nepo babies to the OG movies here, but I thought his casting and his performance was really the standout for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think in general the supporting cast is pretty strong. Viola Davis is doing a lot, and I think that's necessary for the role, so it kind of works. I think Jason Schwartzman is doing just enough, and it's hitting like the notes perfectly. Like he knows exactly what movie he's in. Peter Dinklage, until the final scene, it does not work for me, and then I'm like, okay, yeah, Peter Dinklage, you can fucking act. You can pull off a monologue where you then, you know, not commit suicide, but die by poisoning. So like,
I don't know.
Yeah, you know,
I don't even know what
sorrows.
happened there, if I'm being honest.
Snow poisons him.
Snow.
Yeah, but why did he drink it?
Because he's a drug addict.
And morphling, which is a drug.
Oh, okay, well, fair enough. I agree though. Just to bounce off that, I have to shout out the Dinkman off the top too. I mean, one of my favorite actors working today. You really get like a Game of Thrones vibe at the end there, where he kind of like turns everything on its head and is like, no, these were my actual motivations. So I think that monologue is amazing. I wish we did get more of him, and same with Schwartzman too. I feel like once you know, we get past the second act there, they really just kind of hone in on these characters I don't care too much about. So I'm kind of disappointed with that, but the Dinkman's amazing. We need more of him, you know, in every movie ever.
I think the casting overall was like a major selling factor for me. I feel like they did a great job. Like, I have her on my screen again. We'll come back to Tigress. Like, their young casting of who they become later on, I think was spot on. They did a really great job of like it being believable that this is what they looked like before and what they grow into. I feel like the world building is just as fantastic. Like, when you see it as it's growing and stuff, like I could see how what was there in that movie grew to be what's in the initials that we had seen. I have to defend Peter Dinklage to you, Korbin. Like, he's playing a strung out drug addict the whole beginning. Like,
I know, but his entire role is to like show up and like, oh yes, I am the creator of the Hunger Games, and I did.
He doesn't. He's not talking like that. He hates it. He does not
I did that. I did happen to know your father once. He was a good friend of mine. You know, like he's just doing shit like that the whole time. Like, and if any one of you cheats, you will be punished. Like, it's just, you know, come on. Like, it's the most like fucking shit that it's saying stuff that is only being said to the audience, not to the actual people there. And I think there's a lot of poor writing in this movie.
That was a great
Man is number one with it. I found it there at the end, Kody.
That was awesome. We're in the good category, by the way, Corbin.
I know. You goaded me there.
Great impression.
I feel like it's just, I really like this movie overall.
You talk about the world.
Davis was the best fucking cast for that role too, because she's just always amazing. She's always good. And she took this psycho of a character and was like, "You want me to play a psycho? I got you," and like played the weirdest fucking person.
Cody,
And
can you pull that name?
Oh, oh no. I have a little cast list pulled up. I won't cheat though. I have no idea.
Dr. Volumina Gall.
Gull, yeah. I remember Gull about her. I'll say
Gull.
about her, I think she is having a ton of fun. And it was definitely fun to watch her on screen. The one thing I did dislike, again, I guess this is the bad category. I mean, this is the good category, but still, there's like this little maniacal laugh that like every time she like walks into the room, like just like the same sound clip plays. And I really dislike that. But all of like the personal stuff with her and whatever Tom Blythe, all of their scenes together, I thought were like really intense. Yeah, because they're both kind of like holding their cards pretty close to the chest, which I thought was good. But yeah, I mean, Viola Davis is a ridiculously good actress. So yeah, casting wise, I think you were spot on, Mina. I think especially the side characters they nailed.
And Mina, you talked about the world that's kind of being built around. And I think they have like a really tough task here because there's a visual language that was set up in the original Hunger Games trilogy, which is approximately 300 years in the future or whatever, like some futuristic society, but then you have to like create the past of the future. So you have to like do this like retro futuristic thing. And I think they capture it pretty well. So you've got like the weird phones that are also like FaceTimes, and you've got Lucky Flickerman with like his old style mic, but then also like the giant big screens, and they've got drones. So it's like kind of all over the place. And I actually really like the kind of retro futuristic look. It gives me, I don't know if this reference means anything to either, you got like BioShock, the video game vibes, kind of BioShock Infinite, like that kind of area. And I think that is really interesting and cool. I love all the clothes and the styling, Tigress, obviously it's important to her character, that she's kind of like supposed to be like creating all this stuff for Coriolanus. And I think all that looks really cool. It's a strong suit of the original trilogy. And it continues through here. Even Lucy Gray's dress that, comes from her mother, I think it looks really cool.
I thought that was cool. They did that really well. Cause I think like, obviously she wears it for the whole Hunger Games. So they talk about it all the time in the book. And I was very concerned about how they're going to make that look the way they talk about it in the book. I think they did a really fucking good job of that. Could you imagine wearing heels the whole time you're running for your fucking life in the Hunger Games? Pass. Get them some sensible shoes, for Christ's sake. They don't care about them as like people. So I guess it makes sense.
It's just like Survivor. It's whatever you roll up in. That's what you got to compete in. So you wear heels to the fucking reaping day. That's on you. I'm sorry. Damn. I'm snow lands on top. I'm pro snow puns. I don't know if you guys feel similarly, but like I think that's great. Give me all the snow puns you can.
That was my last thing, honestly. I really, really love Dinklage's line where he's like, "Do you hear that? Snow falling." I think that's
now there's an impression.
The comeback.
I really fucking wish she had been like, "Winter is coming" at the end of it. Though. Like
that would have been amazing. But then the second comeback of like, "Oh, snow's always on top." I thought that one wasn't as good, but I agree with you, Corbin. I love the snow puns. Give me more of those all day, every day.
Yeah,
it's all about the names. And also I like the snakes. It's obviously like in the title, so maybe it doesn't quite live up to like that impact, but I think design wise, like the rainbow of colors looks super sick, just like that visual of the tank. And then also like honestly, like the storytelling, the way it sets up like the fact that they're little weird little sweat sniffers with the original, the proposal and the girl getting bitten, and then the way that it saves Lucy Gray in the end of the book. It's a very novelistic writing beat, but I do like it, and I like a rainbow of destruction.
That's a fucking piece in the book that I wish they had done right in the movie, because it was so much fucking cooler when Clemencia, that's the character that gets bit, she starts getting scales and shit, and she's like in the hospital for like half of the beginning of it. She like misses parts of the Hunger Games and stuff, and she's Reaper's mentor, but she comes and finds Coriolanus in the hospital and is like, "What the fuck, you haven't come and seen me?" And she's all scaly, like kind of turning into a snake and shit. And I was like, this is so cool. And seeing that in the movie would have been so fucking cool. But they had to cut it, obviously, because like that shit, they got to get going into it. But
yeah, and they just want it to be like, oh, the snakes kill you, basically. It's easier that way.
But she does come back, and she's like still got scales on her a little bit that she's got to hide with makeup and stuff. And it's just like, this is a piece I think is so cool and like leads into the fact that they do create mutations like that later where they like fuck with you and make you look like different than you are. So
well, that, and even like that idea of like how at the end of the Hunger Games, if things like aren't wrapping up, they send out like the mutants or whatever. Like, I don't even remember what they're like weird dogs, right? So like
they're called mutts.
Yeah, the mutts. So it's it's similar to that, which is cool to kind of see again, like the beginning.
I just thought that would have looked really cool in the movie, but it is what it is. It's fine. We can move on.
Do we want to, CGI scales? I don't know.
I'm down. That sounds fun.
I don't think that has to be CGI. I think that could be just really makeup well
practical.
Done. Like, why does that have to be CGI?
It would have had to be. I commanded it. I do like the just like the Snow family story and the basis that they come from. Again, it's like something, it's the aspect of the movie that I wish was delved deeper into. Like there's certain story beats and certain story ideas that I'm sure in the book are fleshed out further, but just like I feel like it would be so much cooler to see them kind of get into. And one of those things is just like this idea of the fake power and like the pretended wealth that like the Snows, because of his father dying, and them not really having any like inheritance or any person there to like vouch for them, out there like making money for them. Like the position that puts them in the capital and the way that they're like really kind of like putting on the fake clothing and trying to like seem better than they are. And then also in comparison, the ideas of like Sejanus and his dad having like bought their way into the capital. And like that stuff is really cool to me, when the only way that they really get into it is like the Sejanus stuff is explored more, I'll give you. But like most of it is, again, just like one-off expository lines about like, oh, hey, don't you know that guy is the one whose dad gives out the plinth prize? Like, I think the ideas of where the wealth and the power comes from, and even like within the capital, the differences in wealth and power, and like the structure of who these people are and why like the Snows are looked down upon. I think that stuff could be explored so much more, and why he has to feel that he has to win this prize and he has to win the Hunger Games and he has to go out of his way to climb to the top to pull other people down, in the same way that the American dream exists. Like, I feel like there's an easy, obvious allegory there that you could be drawing. And instead it's just like, oh, well, he's a sociopath. So he loves this girl, so he's going to save her. And there's just so much more there that I feel like they don't touch.
Did you take away from this that the Snows are looked down upon?
Not.
I mean, they kind of,
because they're not. Like the whole point.
They're different.
The whole point of him lying is because they're like the elite, and so he has to keep that persona because he doesn't want people to see that they've fallen. Because like everyone else has gotten back to like where they were at pre-war, except for his family, because his parents died and no one's making money. So he's hiding all that. Like that's like the whole piece of the food and stuff like that. He's not eating, but he lies about that and everything, and like the whole thing. He's just trying to protect his persona that should be there, versus people thinking he's shit. Everyone thinks he's great, minus Dinklage.
Yeah, I don't know. I maybe the movie doesn't. I feel like the movie makes it seem like everyone is not a huge fan of him and that he is kind of an outsider. Obviously, Sejanus again is like the more supreme outsider, but just even like the fact that he's connected to him and friends with him, I feel like pulls him down there. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Kody?
I kind of got the same impression, a little bit of like, Snow isn't as highly regarded as I thought he would be in a sense. But now that Mina says it, I think Dinklage is kind of the only one who really, talks about that in a sense. Because he's like, oh, what if you don't get the plinth prize? What are you going to do? He's like, oh, probably just do it anyway. He's like, no, I know you guys don't have any money. So I thought that aspect was interesting, but kind of the entire like political aspect, I don't know if it was delved as much as they could have. Again, make the movie longer, I guess, but I don't know. I think there's a bunch of stuff that at least that went over my head, I think.
Do you have any more good, either of you?
I mean, other than the fact that I really like that District 12 looks the same as it does. Like, I like that. I don't know. And that we get a map while Lucky's doing the weather. We get to see like where all the districts are. I liked that. I thought that was cool.
I wish they would just do that like at the beginning of the movie. Be like, hey, here's the districts. Be like, oh, 12's in Mexico. That's pretty cool. Or wherever it's at. But I think that would be
it's like the Northeast is where 12 is, but
it's like West Virginia.
There's one in Mexico. I don't know what number it is, but
I thought that was cool because like when I read the books, I literally just pictured it as being like a long line, like 12's here, and then you just go and they're all right next to each other. But like, I guess that's not the case. And I think that's like, I thought that was cool to finally see a map, and Lucky doing the weather for all the districts as if they watch it. Like, okay.
I did like that too, like him being like a part-time weatherman and also like the host of the show. I like he has like a really small uprising. That is cool.
Well, they do watch, like what they do know, right? Like the people watch, because that's the
I
whole
don't
point.
know.
They have to watch.
Because that's the whole, they don't watch. That's
Nobody
the whole point
watches
of
the Hunger
making
Games,
it engaging, is because people don't watch, and people in the districts don't have TVs. That's why when they say, "Who are you?" and the cameraman laughs, he goes, "Not everyone in the districts has TVs." Blah 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 blah. You know, he's got to like. They don't watch the districts, which is the whole point of them doing mentors.
This just is a shitty punishment that doesn't make any sense, because then the people don't actually know what happens in the Hunger Games. Like these kids get taken away.
They just rip away one of their kids.
Yeah, like they have the big.
They got to set up like fucking TV, viewing parties or something like the Super Bowl.
That's the fucking point. It's the 10th Hunger Games, so they're trying to build all that shit. Like that's literally the whole point of this movie and them doing the Hunger Games in this way, is because there's not a fucking point to doing them. So you better make a point, otherwise we're cutting them. And Dr. Gall refuses to let them get cut because she wants to be sadistic and torture people in new ways. Like that's like the whole fucking point.
Yeah, I think
Sorry.
No, go off, Queen.
Yeah, I think the ideology here is just kind of thin. It's just like generic fascism. And I was talking to you about this last night, Mina, and we kind of got into a little bit, so we don't necessarily have to rehash all those things. But I just feel like it's very generic. And I think that that's okay because it works and it's successful. But like, again, there's so much, like, I don't know anything about how this and again, maybe it's not good for a movie, but I don't know how this fucking economy works. I don't understand how the society's laid out. I get it's an authoritarian structure, and I understand that there's like a police state, but like, what did these people believe in? What is this built upon? There is no like morality or understanding of why this war happened or how it was formed, and I don't know, Mina's like, oh, it's all about control. I get that. Yes, it's fucking control, but that's like the most generic, bland thing, unless you just want to say it's like they want to force everybody live to basically in this like fake cog in the machine matrix of society where they're just like accepting everything and drinking and watching kids kill each other. Like I think there's just like nothing here.
I don't understand why you think generic doesn't work. Like generic breeds crazy shit because you have a baseline that just allows for anything. If you're too specific, now you're stuck in the weeds and you can't let other things happen. It's like, I think that doesn't make sense. That would have never happened.
Too generic to be believable. That's my problem. I think it's just like so.
Because you're just watching the movie.
Exactly. But here's the thing though. I know we can sit here and compare it to the book all day, but like this has to work as a movie.
Agreed. Alone. But if you sat through this movie and they were just hashing out what the politics were, you'd be pissed that you sat through a movie that was just talking about politics the whole time. Like you're not going to win here because you're going to be mad that they're paying too much attention to this and there's not action, or there's action and they're moving the story along, but there's not enough world building in this area. Like this movie would have to be 2 parts in order to give you all the stuff you want.
But I think the problem is because this is so close to the origin and it feels like I'm lacking extremely important context to like really understand why any of this is happening. And the reason it works in the original Hunger Games is because we can be like, well, shit, this was like 75 years ago that this like revolution happened. And this is like, it's so distant from our current time, but also it's distant from the time that the people are currently living. It's kind of easy to understand how the Hunger Games could have even got started and gotten to this point. Because you accept it in this where they're like trying to show us the early reasons that happened, but then like, we don't even understand why are the districts being fucking like what makes why does the capital see themselves as better than the districts? Is it all about money? Is it all about some genetic belief? Like there's just nothing there to me. It's more just like it's geography based. And I know like I guess that's that's happened before, but there's not even this idea of like the capital wants to conquer or expand their imperialism in any way. Like they're stuck in this static place of like just survive. Like there's just nothing there. It's just simply we put kids into a cage to control the thoughts of people.
I guess for argument's sake is that they're building and not staying in the stagnant place of survival is the original trilogy. You know what I mean? Like they build into like, so I feel like that's the problem with this movie, is that it's far enough removed from the initial war by 10 years that we're not seeing the war except for that little piece in the beginning where they're kids. So you're not seeing the war and why the war happened, but you're not seeing the thought process right after the war for the first Hunger Games. You're into the 10th where people are realizing this is stupid. Why are we doing this anymore? It doesn't make any sense. We're evolving past this. And there's people trying to come up with the reason as to why you still have it. Like I think you're right. We're in that weird time period where you can't get the context for both and be satisfied.
Yeah, definitely not. And also it's like this weird thing of like, if this is just North America, like what does the rest of the world currently look like? I know it's tough because Suzanne Collins probably doesn't even really care about how we got to this place. And it's not really about how we got to this, like this future, like what's happened in the last 300 years. But there has to be some sort of feasible basis that makes sense. And again, going back into like the stuff that I don't like with go ahead.
I'm convinced that it's World War III and we just get a new Pangea. So now we're all just one land again. Like it's
a bad map then for those purposes. Again, I hit on the sports betting thing. Fucking ESPN now has their own like betting that is integrated into theirs. Like Disney owns a fucking sports book at this point, right? So like it's become, and maybe this movie was almost like a year too early to like really capture that, but I feel like there's so much potential right there. There's like that one off line of like Snow being like, oh, why don't people bet on this? But like there's so much about our current culture that again you could extrapolate into a world where people are fighting each other again. Like also this idea of like combat sports in our current culture and the way that those athletes are mistreated and the way that we bet on that and root for those things. Obviously for me as somebody who works in sports media, it's obvious to see why I would be interested in like the greater ideas of like television and getting people to watch and like creating content and like turning the Hunger Games into a spectacle. But like that's what allegedly this movie is partially about, right? It says it for a little bit. You're learning how the Hunger Games became a big thing, but then it's maybe like 10 minutes, 15 minutes of the actual runtime, and then they have so much other shit to deal with. And that's something I'd like to see more focus on. What is in his proposal? How do they make these things happen? Of course, again, it's like he does the proposal and then the Hunger Games the next day. And then like, it's so moving at a breakneck pace that you can't slow down and really examine anything that I find interesting there.
I mean, that leads me into my first bad so that we can actually say the bad as the title, as what we're talking about right now. But like, it's such a quick pace, but it also feels so slow at the same time. Like, I feel like my second time watching it, I felt after the Hunger Games was over that the movie was over. Like I was waiting for them to bring me my check at Alamo. I was like, let's go home. But then like they're only halfway through the movie at this fucking point. And so it's like so weird that you're running through the storyline, but also at the same time, you're like, how is this movie not over yet? And I thought that was a really weird dichotomy that I was trying to deal with, at least in my second time watching it.
Yeah, I completely agree. And like I said, I mean, I think this movie is too long. When I was in the theater and the Hunger Games ended, I was ready to walk out. I was like, all right, that wasn't that bad. But then it's another like grueling hour of just like sucking my soul out of my body, I feel like. But specifically too, I feel like they rushed the ending a bunch. It's kind of, I guess, skipping the end here. But with the whole, I don't even know their fucking names. I do know it. It's Lucy Gray. How many times do they say the mofo name Lucy Gray in this movie? I need a counter on it. I don't know which one has said more in like movie history, like John Connor, Lucy Gray. What was the other one we did a ton where they just said the fucking character's name a billion times? I don't know, but I need a counter on that. But basically the ending is like we get to this place of like mistrust because he lies about the number of people we've killed. But then like they keep going along to the shack for 10 more minutes. And then she's like, I got to get out of here. And then it's just like this weird stuff in the trees and he starts shooting everything. I don't know. It feels like extremely rushed to me, especially if we're going to gruel out like the last, half hour, 45 minutes just for this kind of character moment in a sense. And also too, I'll throw it to you guys, obviously, but one tiny thing, I kind of knew that she's going to win the Hunger Games too, because all of the stupid advertisements, commercials just has the one scene of them like swimming in the lake. And I was like, when the Hunger Games started, I was like, oh, we didn't see the scene of them swimming in the lake, so she must win, and that must be like the last half hour or whatever. So
well, and this, like, the thing you're both alluding to is like that is the central problem to me of like these Hunger Game movies that they have to deal with, of like, where do you put the titular Hunger Games in the story? How much do you show after? How much do you show before? How much of the movie is the actual games? The first one, I think it's like I think, like you said, Kody, Catching Fire is like the perfect balance where it like hits all of that, and that book and movie ends like right as the games end, they're getting pulled out. Like, that's great. And then like part 1 and part 2 have to deal with the fact that like they're not really about the Hunger Games, and it's like a whole other thing. And this movie that is put into 3 parts, and as you know, traditionally stories are told in 3 acts. When your second act is the Hunger Games happening, and then you have this third act that is nothing like a third act of anything else, like where it's like the setup that like nobody's at like a low point. I mean, yes, he's sent off to District 12, but really he's going to see his girl. Like, everything's looking up as you're heading into the third act, and then you have to end on like a kind of a semi-down note in the last 20 minutes when she leaves him, and then another positive note to finish it off. So it's really strange the way that it has to be paced there and kind of told.
Yeah, I think just the construction you could have done a little bit better, I think. But
well, and Kody, did you catch, so the whole thing, like with her disappearing, it's like the story she tells is what happens. Did you miss that part?
That's the coolest fucking part.
Because but this is the problem with the movie, is because the first time I watched it, it's a boring ass fucking part of the movie, and I zoned out and I missed it. And then the second time around, I like knew it was happening, and I started to do it again, and I was like, no, I need to pay attention to what she's saying, because it's like when they're laying by the lake and she's like talking.
The song that's being sung over the top as they're walking to the lake, they jump in the lake, and then it pans to her laying on him and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and he goes, so
What
does she
happened to her?
survive?
Yeah.
So that's so okay. This is something that's described in the book. So the Covey, like her family, their names are all in songs. So basically, like, they're kind of like their stories. So her song is Lucy Gray, and that story is like that character in the song went off one day, her footprints just stopped, and she disappeared. And so like, what happened to her? And then that's what happens in the end. He shoots her, and then you see her footprints, they stop at the road, and she's just gone, but she starts singing again. So you're like, is she alive? What's happening here? And it's just like the genius of how that was written is that she is her song. And so it's like, he never actually knows what the fuck happened to her. Did he kill her? Where'd she go?
And that's the thing that haunts him for literally, she says, I'm leaving to go get some Katniss, and then never, she goes to grab some milk and doesn't come back to the kids.
And
to be fair, he shot her, so he didn't want her to come back to him.
Right.
To be fair. But
Kody, you mentioned that scene where he's like, oh, I've killed 3 people. That's like might be the worst scene in the whole movie.
I hate that
It's
scene.
so stilted. He's not playing it well. He does like a bad lie of like, oh, I was saying I killed myself. And it's like, come on, man, just like say you
Make
feel
something
bad
else.
about Sejanus dying. Like, you could still take blame, because that's what he's taking blame for, that death. Like, I think she would still accept him taking blame for, even though like she doesn't know obviously that he, sent the bird off to the Capitol that really did him in. But
right. If he just explained that, if he's like, oh, I just accidentally, got the audio out this bird and it ended up in the wrong hands, so I am responsible. Like, okay, that's a good excuse. You didn't really kill him, but I mean, I guess, side effects you did.
The old me.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and a couple small things.
That's a little.
too.
He's his inner Taylor Swift. The old me can't come to the phone right now.
Shout out 12 verse 50s. I think you could like kind of mention this, Corbin, not really, but like Lucy Gray, Rachel Ziegler's like the Southern accent here. I think that specifically like takes me out of the movie a lot. I think her performance is good, but I just like kind of don't like this character because she has like a terrible accent.
what the fuck was that choice? That was so bad. I liked her singing. Like, I kind of liked the way she would do that, like that high pitched cut for words and stuff like that. I thought that was really fun. But where the fuck did that Southern accent come from? No one in 12 talks like that. What the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, it's the thing I said before.
Sorry.
Like, she's in the wrong kind of movies. I don't really think she's an action star. She's a theater kid, and that's like okay. Like, I think that works. The accent is fucking atrocious. The singing works, but it's also like it's just working on the fact that like she can sing. It's not the type of music that like a different artist or a different person singing those songs, I think would be a lot more believable and a lot more effective. Like that folksy, almost "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou" vibes that are coming out. Like someone else, I think, plays that so much believable. There's even like the hard nosed, like sharp, biting, like kiss my ass like type wit that she has to like pull off with the Southern accent. That's like even worse and doesn't work for her. Yeah, I just don't. I think she's a star, but it's just not in this character role.
Yeah, I agree. And then the other little thing,
she's not Jennifer Lawrence. That's the thing. Like she's a totally different type, I think, of actress.
J-Lo can't sing like that, I don't think, unfortunately.
Well, but she can sing okay. Like that's the thing. She could sing enough, but like she can do, J-Lo could do action, but can also do like, I don't know.
Well, like Katniss wasn't ever supposed to have like a good singing voice anyways. Like Lucy Gray's character is, she gets people to like her because her voice is so fucking good and she's such a performer.
I don't believe that. I could believe that Jennifer Lawrence would grow up in like District 12, but I just like Lucy Gray looks like she doesn't fit in with any of those people. And I know, I guess she is kind of different. She's a cubby or whatever, but like, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, she's not from 12.
She doesn't feel like a minor. She feels like a city girl.
She's not from 12. She travels around, and that's just where she's.
I don't think she's a minor. I think she's like 17 or 18.
And shout out. But I want to bring up Katniss. What is going on here, guys? Why is this something we need? I don't care. If we're gonna cut anything from this movie, just cut all the Katniss clips.
And, well, no, you can leave them, but don't like when
you have to have the Katniss.
When you say Katniss, you don't need like Katniss. You don't need like a dun 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 to play. Like there's literally ominous music starts fucking playing the second he says it. Like just have it in there. It fits, but you don't have to be like, ooh, Katniss.
Yeah, I agree. I think that is by far my least favorite thing in this movie. I hate prequels who are like, oh, like you remember this name? Like the one in Solo. It's like,
but we did, to be fair, Cody, we didn't know, we knew prior that she was named after this plant. It's not like they just invented the plant for this movie. It mentions in the original text. Because I saw you and Carter,
I didn't read the book.
Like, I know, but I'm filling you in. I'm telling you now.
But they do it in the movies too, because she picks Primrose for her sister, and she talked about like her plant is fucking hideous. It's ditchweed. Like, you know, like that's a thing in the movies too.
So, I prefer the name Katniss. It's much sweeter.
Yeah, regardless,
that was your best. That was your best yet, Korbin.
Thank you.
You found it. I'm so proud of you.
Southern Belle, I can't actually do better than Rachel Zegler.
I had one last thing really, and it mostly just centers around like the characters' names. I mean, obviously it's book lore, so I don't want to bash on it too hard, but I think
do it.
All right, if you say so. But I think legitimately, like through the OG movies here, I thought this guy's name was Cornelius the entire time or something like that. I can barely even say it's Coriolanus. Is that right? Yeah, that's right.
Good job.
Coriolanus Snow. I just think like every time his name is said throughout the movie, I'm like, that's the dumbest name I've ever heard. And then the other one other than Lucy Gray that I have a really big gripe with is Mr. Sejanus. It sounds like a name out of Game of Thrones.
Well, that's, like, I mean, he was like he was a guy, one of Caesar's boys. Like Sejanus was a Roman guy, and Coriolanus is the name of a Shakespeare play. Like,
what about
they're all like
Casca High names. Casca High Button, Clementia Dovercoat, Felix Ravenstill.
Dovecoat? It's just Dovecoat, buddy.
Oh, those were all said wrong, but I just don't really like the names, and like I said, I can't really remember any of them, so I feel like that doesn't help with, you know, some of the side characters I do like. I'm just gonna call him, you know, Peter Dinklage. I'm not gonna call him Casca Highbottom because that's fucking stupid.
I feel like I'm the reverse. Even in movies that aren't based off of a book, when they have random names that are just like weird and like you're not sure why the fuck they're named that or whatever, I love it. I think it's so fun when writers have fun with naming people instead of just choosing the same fucking names over and over again. Like Korbin and I just watched a movie where the main characters' names were Beth and Sarah. Like, okay, you come up with something different. Like, let's not just use the same fucking names over and over and over again. So I kind of like it. I get it
for the next MK300 episode. Calling out Nicole Holofcener's writing.
I just like hate naming people the same bullshit names over and over.
I mean, my name's
Cody.
pretty stupid as well, but I shouldn't be talking too much crap. But I agree. I mean,
you spell it with a K. You have a little spice in there.
Yeah, that's cool. Add a little spice, but make it interesting. Like Casca High Bottom. That's just like it's different, but it's not cool. I don't think. But I agree. Give us weird names. I'm here for the weird names.
Festus Creed. I like that one.
Fucking Festus Creed. Sorry.
Let's talk ugly. I got a few things here, but nothing like too controversial. Do you guys have anything spicy you want to start with?
You can kick us off. I don't have anything to do.
I think this movie looks kind of fucking ugly. Like I think the cinematography is kind of bad, and it's got these I'm not sure that, and I could be wrong, but I really tried to look and watch for it. I do not think there is a single static locked off shot in the entire movie. Every single shot is handheld, but really like steady cam. Like everything is constantly moving. There is never, and like, I think it works for some scenes. I think in general, the actual Hunger Games, there's some like okay action. It goes a little revenant on me. And like, I think maybe it's because some anamorphic lenses causing some weird flaring on the sides and they really get up close with the steady cam. But overall, I just think it doesn't work. And reminded me like, you need to like, sometimes moments are okay to like slow down and take a breath. You don't have to like constantly be moving and swaying the camera.
I agree with that. And I feel like that was one of the things I really disliked about the first Hunger Games. So like the amount of shaky cam. And that did kind of play out throughout the entire series, but I agree. I think even like after we get out of the Hunger Games, the camera work is kind of a little bit all over the place, which I don't really find appealing. But my uglies, I mean, these are kind of not even really that ugly, but first off, having like a snake jump scare. Come on, man. Like we went the entire movie and then at the very end, you're going to have a snake jump scare. Not cool. That's ugly. Secondly, Sir Janus and Snow's relationship here. I mean, I don't really care about it, if I'm being honest. I guess they're friends. It was stated in the first scene that they weren't friends. And then all of a sudden, he's got like a picture together.
Yeah, when did the picture happen?
I don't know, but I guess they're best buds now. And then he just sold him out and he didn't care about him. So maybe it's just like the one-sided relationship thing, but they didn't really delve into that. And I feel like that was something with Snow's character that I just didn't really like at all.
That was my main ugly. I fucking hated the way they showed that. Because, like, that's the whole thing, too. In the book, like, Snow is getting close to Sejanus for a multitude of reasons. Like, he actually does kind of start to gain a friendship in there, but he sees an opening in, like, basically blackmailing his dad to give him money before covering his son's ass so much. So it's like, he's like, because he knows that Sejanus has been bailed out plenty of times by his parents' money. So then he, like, after he saves him from the arena, he goes to their house later and he's expecting Sejanus' dad to give him money, but he just says thanks and sends him back home. Like, so that doesn't work out for him. But then he's in 12 for a few days before Sejanus gets there. And then Sejanus shows up. Now he has a friend again that connects him to the capital, and they really start to bond before they get to go out into the town and stuff like that. So like the book actually makes you be like, wow, Snow could be a good person here and is genuinely getting a friend, and this could be really good for him. And then he betrays him, which is like, I think would make him crying there after Sejanus dies mean more. But at that point, you just see him crying and you're like, why the fuck is he crying over this? Like, he's the reason this happened. So like, what the fuck?
I think they did some kissing. That's my take.
Oh, I like it.
Nothing wrong with that.
Off screen. I'm just saying. And maybe Snow again being manipulative. Maybe he was, he's just trying to get the money, man.
True. And lastly, my last one was, how dare you cheat at the Hunger Games? Like, come on, why is there like a moral compass to like this mentorship? Like everyone's cheating every second of this game. So I think that's really stupid, but I guess like morally, that is pretty ugly. How dare you, Snow?
That's the one hint of morality we know about these people. They don't like cheating. That's literally the only taste we get of what they stand for.
Okay,
here's something.
Hold on. I have one thing. It wasn't really an ugly, but I think they did Wovi, that like little girl character, so dirty. Because she in the book takes one of the broken drones and rewires it and has to just keep bashing people in the head. And I think that
In
would
all
have
this
been
movie,
so
she
badass
fucking
to
gets
have
eaten by a
she just
snake.
gets
Yeah.
I was like, that would have been so cool to have her come out and just be like, fuck you guys, and like this cute little girl. But so I think that was ugly by doing Wovie so fucking dirty in this movie by making her just die immediately.
And I mean, again, I guess, there's too much shit to do, but like that would make the fucking drones better. Because I feel like the drones are so stupid that it's just like, there's just shitty drones that they keep sending in. And at least if there was like a purpose for like something that
They're
could be
also
done
like
with them.
only shitty once in the book and then they fix them. Like, so like, I don't know why they was like that. But anyways.
You know what's really fucking ugly? The final shot of this movie is in the fucking trailer. That is insane to me. You cannot do that. You cannot put not even the final two shots of the movie are just straight in the trailer. That's just bad. Like, give something for us to watch, like be excited to see.
It's criminal. And they force us to watch these stupid trailers too before the movie. So yeah, I can't stand
I hate
trailers,
it.
man. End it all. It's a broken system.
We're gonna take a quick break and we'll be right back. And we're back with Invite, Fight, Night.
Totally invite your personal friend, Spider-Man.
I want to fight you.
Hans, Bobby, I'm your white knight.
We're going to start by inviting somebody on the podcast. I think I've got the obvious pick here. Lucky Caesar Flickerman. He's a showman. He could do a couple magic tricks for us. I think he could definitely make this podcast better by having him on it. What do you think, Cody?
I'm a fan of the Flickerman. I would probably go the Dinkman route here, though.
Not the first time you've tried to get him on the pod.
That is true. It's a recurring theme here, but
he's in a movie. Chances are.
Yeah, I mean, if he's in it, I'm gonna pick him likely. But I mean, Flickerman, he's more of like a visual guy. I feel like you're saying with the magic tricks. So maybe not the best for the podcast format.
Well, so are you, Mr. Light Up Mike.
True, but nobody's watching. But the Dinkman, he's awesome. I also want to hear his
leave it
in. Well, I'm just saying nobody's watching the YouTube version. I don't, at least, but that could be wrong.
I watch it all the time.
Oh, that's awesome. I want the Dinkman backstory here. No, that's good. The Dinkman, like, what's his story, man? How do we get to this point where, like, he gives us the whole story, obviously, like, oh, I created it when I was drunk, and then your dad, that bastard, took it over. It's like, dude, okay, like, it's been going on 10 years since then. Like, I guess you've been sabotaging it, but I kind of just want more of the backstory, just because that
not trying very hard.
That was such a quick turn too. Like the entire movie, I don't feel like there's too many notions of that. And at the very end, it's like, oh, Dinklage is here and he's going off. So I just want more of that, really.
Yeah, I mean, all we get to really see is like the subtle him, taking drugs or whatever. But there isn't much
But he does that in every movie he's in. So
fair enough. Mina, who do you want to get on the pod?
Dude, I'm also inviting High Bottom, the Dinkman. I was just like also want some strung out high dude on the pod. I think that'd be really entertaining talking to him. So.
Cody every week. What are you talking about? I'm sorry. Too far. Too far.
I'm sober, actually.
Congrats.
5 minutes sober.
How many days is that, Cody?
No comment.
I think the Dinkman would be a good one. And I agree. I think getting to fully flesh out his story and why he wants to teach kids when he feels so miserable, I think would be really fun to talk to.
I agree.
I guess I've been outvoted.
Yeah, you're done. Who do you want to fight, Korbin? I want to hear that.
I think there's an obvious choice. Dr. Gall, Viola Davis. She's, the big bad villain in this. We don't even get to see the president character at all in this entire movie. They're kind of not even really there. She is like the power force in this. And then there's a little fun side choice. I'll throw in Grandmama, that old lady that lives with
Grandmam.
Grandmama. That's what I want to call her.
It's not her name.
She can get a little right hook.
It's Grandmam.
What did she do?
She's always complaining. Snow falls on top.
She is like in the book, like she's like the racist, horrible fucking person. So like she deserves
that shot. Let's go.
Convince me. Yeah, all right.
All over that one.
Who do you want to fight, Mina?
I'm gonna fight Festus Creed. He's that like redhead guy that goes, "You're not gonna I'm gonna win, so you have to win." Right, kind of thing. To his Quarrel is the one with the trident the whole time. Is his person. he's just fucking gross, and I hate his character. Like the way he talks and stuff like that. I'm like, no, I want to hit you. Like you just are horrible. So I want to hit him.
I back that. I think those two, like specific from the Hunger Games, were, I feel like pretty easy candidates there. I did go Corbin's direction though too. Here I went to deck Viola Davis. I mean, she's kind of just like a dickhead the entire movie, and there's no real repercussions, I feel like. And also we don't see her in the OG series, so we don't even get like a cool payoff then. So I feel like
dead in the OG series.
Exactly. So I feel like she just got it coming here, and I kind of just want to take a shot at her. Yeah.
I feel like this is the only movie that you're going to say you want to hit Viola Davis.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like this is the only time that you would want to say this.
That is very true. I don't know if she's done a ton of like villainous characters, but this is probably like one of the wackiest that she's done, I think.
Suicide Squad. I guess
Yeah, Amanda
like
Waller, not necessarily a noted nice, but I
Yeah.
will say this is one of her few characters that I
bad,
think Kody and I could actually take. She's kind of just a crazy old lady. Most of Viola Davis' characters would probably kick Kody and I's ass. Circa the Woman King.
Oh yeah, definitely the Woman King. I think this girl's got some tricks up her sleeves too. So I
Well,
wouldn't
yeah,
feel
she'd
too
fucking
confident,
stick
but
some like weird snakes on us, but you know, hand to hand, Kody, I have
she
faith in
just
you.
pull out a skunk for you and you'd be done. So
Mina, our knight. We talked about him already a little bit with the rabies, but I'm gonna knight Jessup. I mean, he takes a bat bite to save Lucy Gray, and that's pretty noble, and ends up doing him in at the end of it all. So he doesn't get a lot of screen time here. He's basically a nothing character, one of the few people of color in the entire movie. Doesn't get to really do much other than be at service to our leads. So I will knight him here.
Good choice. I'm kind of bouncing off. I believe I'm picking the character of Reaper here. He was the one who like pulled the flag down, right? Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know the characters' names, but he was really awesome, I think. Just from a morality standpoint, he seemed like the most sane person in the arena. It seemed, trying to protect, the young girls and stuff. I thought that was good. And then at the end, like all the dead bodies lined up, he's like, this isn't right. So kind of pulling that down and covering them up. I thought he was kind of just like the moral, center of that Hunger Games in a sense. And he kind of went out a tough way too. So yeah, definitely deserve of the night here.
I mean, not to keep harping on like what happens in the book versus the movie, but like Reaper's so much cooler in the book too. Cause like he doesn't move them all at one time. Like every time someone dies, he moves them into that line and then covers them up, and he rips off part of the flag and ties it around him like a cape or some of it, which is cool.
That is
and
cool.
Then he doesn't die by the snakes either. Like Lucy Gray kills him.
Oh.
Yeah. By like he never eats at all during the Hunger Games, and so she just keeps moving the flag off of the bodies, and then he has to go fix it, and then ends up dying of exhaustion because like his heart gives out, which is like crazy.
I guess they couldn't show us that because I would have taken fucking hours. Yeah, I mean, this is.
I would have rather seen that.
Condensed.
I would have rather seen that than the damn third act. Yeah, give us that movie,
poison.
bro.
This like the snakes happen still, but like they're a little bit different. But like Reaper's fucking cool, so like good pick, Kody.
I got you. Who are you knighting me up?
Knighting my lovely lady Tigress back here. Like I fucking love her. I think I want more of her story in this movie because I think she's just pretty cool. She doesn't have a lot of story in the book either, but she like is the only moral one in that house either. Like as well, like. She cares about the people in the district. She recognizes all of them have just gone through some pretty traumatic and horrific shit with this war. And the fact that one group of people gets to be punished and the others get to just be the punisher. Like she doesn't like that. So I want to knight her. I like Tigress.
I like that pick a lot. I think her character specifically was really underutilized too. Again, another one who kind of just disappears halfway through, but I think the morality point again with like her and Snow kind of bouncing back and forth was actually pretty interesting in the first act. So yeah, I back it.
Yeah.
All right, we're moving on to the recast.
Bond. James Bond. My name's Bond. James Bond.
The name's Bond. James Bond.
The name's Bond. James Bond.
Mina, who do you want to replace in this movie?
I've got two. I want to replace Grand Ma'am, even though the actress that plays her has a funny name. Fionnuala.
Yeah, I was gonna say it earlier, and then I was like, I can't even attempt that.
I think she actually does live in the capital based off of that name, but like give me Maggie Smith. She's like severe, and I feel like she would have been really good in this and being like, fuck all of these district kids and stuff like that. Like, I think she would have been really fun. And I just love seeing Maggie Smith in a movie. So give me some Maggie Smith there.
Could have been another draw for the late millennial fans of books. Maggie Smith, she's getting up there. I don't know how well she's doing right now, but prime
She's
Harry
old
Potter
as
Maggie
shit.
Smith. Yeah, she's quite old, and I hope she's doing good. But Kody, we'll throw it over to you for your first one.
Yeah, I got a couple as well. I mean, first up, I don't know if this is obvious, but I'm getting rid of Rachel Ziegler here. Kind of my thought process is mostly just like the Southern accent. So maybe we can drop that. But I had a couple picks. I mean, the super obvious one is like Jenna Ortega, but maybe that's even too mainstream. My deeper cut is Daphne Keene. I think we haven't seen a ton from her since Logan, and I think she was really, really good in that. Again, probably for everybody, just drop the Southern accents and we'd be fine. But those are my two other kind of like up and coming actresses who I do like a lot.
Going to be appearing in the
I like that
Acolyte TV show, Star Wars TV show coming up. So
true.
You've talked about her in the past, Kody. You're always trying to get her in stuff. So
yeah, man, she was really good in Logan, and I feel like she hasn't done a ton since. So I'm definitely a fan.
I mean, yeah, she was in 23 episodes of His Dark Materials, the TV show. So I guess she has existed in the young adult adaptation world.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's really watched that too much, but she's probably good in it. I believe it.
Yeah, shout out to HBO Max or the artist.
Whoa,
HBO Max.
Yeah, hey, so calm down there, man.
I'm also going to replace Rachel Zegler. I really just have one recast here. There's like two people that are too old for the role now. So maybe like 10 years ago, I could see maybe 15 years ago, 15, 20 years ago for Kate Winslet, and then like 10 years ago for Emma Stone. I think either of them could have maybe pulled it off. But my pick for like someone a little bit more contemporary would be a Saoirse Ronan, because I think she can do the accent. I think a lot of English, well, she's not English, but a lot of people from the Isles, she's Irish, but like those are more similar to Southern accents, and they can often kind of pull them off. I think she could do like the more folksy, homely singing thing. I think like the Little Women outfits feel more adjacent to this. And she's also done some like action type stuff. The movie Hannah, I don't think it's that great necessarily, but like she's been there. So that's my pick, my fave, Saoirse.
I like it. Bring out the potatoes.
I don't know if she can sing, honestly, though.
Yeah,
Emma Stone and Winslet work better for those purposes.
You can fix it in post. It'll be all good. I'll just go my second pick. I'm getting rid of Sir Janus here. Again, actor wise,
there's no R. It's Sejanus.
Everyone in the movie says it with an R, though. That's on them.
No, they don't. They say Sejanus. There's not an R in it.
Well, Kody heard an R. I heard an R.
Because you guys add R's to everything. You say Sherbert. There's not an R in that either. At the end.
I think there's an R in
Sherbet. It's Sherbet.
You're thinking of sorbet, Mina.
I like both.
I'm
not. This guy's name is evidently Josh Andres Rivera, and he was also in West Side Story, which I was not aware of until just now.
Yeah,
but
he's dating Rachel Zegler. Is the reason she's in the movie.
Oh, they're actually dating in real life?
Yes, Kody. We'll share a little bit of a behind-the-scenes fact there for you. Rachel Zegler
tell you that.
was, busy filming, doing her actorly thing, and she was like, you know what, I'm going to take a break from acting. So sorry, Hunger Games, I'm going to take my name out of contention for this role. And then she gets a call from her boyfriend, and he's like,
Sejanus?
Yeah, Sejanus, Josh, I just got this role in the new Hunger Games movie. I'm so excited. And then she was like, oh shit, I guess I will go. Hey, you guys should consider me. So then they got to hang out.
Well, I feel
lovely time on set.
I do feel better replacing him now. In my pick, I'm going with John Boyega. Again, maybe a little bit too old at this point, but we don't really care about that in the recast.
I like that though.
Yeah, I think he would be really good in this role, kind of because he can go darker, I think, too, especially when like he's freaking out in Congress. I can see John Boyega like yelling at everybody and everybody being like, damn, I think he's kind of right. So yeah, I think he would fit in perfectly with this cast and be a really good Sir Janus.
He can pull off the fits for sure.
Oh, but John Boyega is awesome. I want to see him in a ton more too. I think I've had him in my recasts multiple times as well. So yeah, love me some Boyega.
Nina, who was your other recast?
Well, you guys did her in your first recast, but I'm getting rid of Rachel Zegler too. And I'm casting someone who I think is above the age now, but Lucy Hale, she was in Pretty Little Liars and Scream 4. Like she knows how to do action and like kind of that stuff. She can sing as well. And I think she has the body type where she looks like she wouldn't be able to fight and do anything, but would still look good doing it when she has to. You know, it wouldn't look like awkward. Or I also think Sadie Sink would be kind of interesting in this role. I don't think the accent has to stay. Like, I think that was a choice on Rachel Ziegler's part. I don't think that's like anything that's stipulated.
I think they like composed the music and they did the production design in a way that I almost feel like she was like overcome by the spirit of the country. I think it just overcame her. Like she was forced into it by the instrumentation though. So like you start playing a banjo and people, you know, start
She's
drawing.
never playing. I mean, I guess, but like I don't think she needed to do that.
I don't know. It was a distinct choice to make District 12 feel much more folksy than before. I think it has a similar look, but I don't know if it feels quite the same as the original or the other District 12 we see later.
I think it just feels more depressed in the original District 12.
Fair. Everyone is a little bit just more depressed.
But I think we all agree. Let's just get rid of Rachel Ziegler.
Yeah, unfortunately. I think Lucy Hale though. I think that actually is probably the best pick that any of us have thrown out there. I like that one a lot.
Thank you.
I like Sadie Sink better, honestly. She's a really good singer, I think too. So I'm on board with both.
I think it would just be kind of fun to see like a different like kind of vibe in that role. I think she looks like she could actually put up a fight a little bit more than anyone else we threw out there, which kind of throws it.
Let's move on to the rating.
Do you like me?
What do you want to rate it out of 69?
I feel like I always get us off with the ratings. I did go back a little bit too and try and put this in a good place for some of my other ratings. I'm going to end up going with a 28 out of 69. I think it's pretty fair. Like
Jesus.
I said, I think I like a third of this movie, and it's just like ridiculously long. Some of the cast is good. Some of the Hunger Games stuff is good. But yeah, I think that's fair for me. That's like 2.5 stars, somewhere in that range.
I'm going to give it a 47 out of 69.
Holy mackerel.
I mean, I don't know. I think it's like maybe I've been talking a lot of shit here, but I think the thing is, it's like a decent version of, okay, let's think about it, Kody and Mina, of like all the box office IP big budget things we've been given this year. Your Marvels, you know, any adaptation, like this is the best thing we've gotten in that kind of scope that isn't just like true fucking me wearing my Letterboxd hat cinema. Like I'm not gonna I can get behind a little bit of dribble here, and I think this is a good version, not the best version, but a good version of big budget IP filmmaking for young people, and I think it succeeds in doing that. I have a lot of problems with it, but I still think it's 47. Mina, what do you want to give it?
I think this is going to come to a shock, but my initial was to give it a 45. So Korbin out here rating it higher than me.
Wow.
This falls into the trap that I often have to.
You gave Clueless a 60 for the record. Looking at previous rankings.
They're very different movies, and I like them for very different reasons. Clueless has a very nostalgic feel for me, so it will always be ranked high for me for that purpose. This falls into the trap of it follows the book, but not really. And I can't get that out of my head. So I have to rank it lower just for that. And then it just like has issues that I'm just not a fan of in a lot of ways. I still would watch it again. I've already seen it twice, but I would still turn this on and watch it again. But it's not a 45 for me.
But do you disagree with what I'm saying about
I definitely do. I don't think it's the best IP project we've seen all year. I think you could name off a few others.
I mean, it's not the best. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is significantly better, but I'm saying it's like a solid, good version.
Did that come out this year?
This is a 3.5 star movie. Yeah, May of 2023.
Jesus Christ.
I think this is like a solid 3.5 star film. I think it's overly long. It's bogged down by the source material, but it's got some interesting stylistic choices, a fun young cast that I am mostly heavily attracted to. And I think it works.
I mean, I can't argue against the attractiveness. I mean, that's this franchise to a T.
I like seeing hot people on screen, Kody. I'm sorry.
I think just story wise, it's a little.
I like how you only address Kody about liking hot people on screen, and you didn't
Well, you're
address
here
me
for
for
it, so you get to
that.
hear it. I wouldn't be saying these things if you weren't here, just for the record. This is a safe space.
That's bullshit.
Only because you're here that can I admit how I feel about Rachel Zegler. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, John Wick Chapter 4. Those are better versions, sure. Creed 3, that's like a better version, but like I don't know.
So you looked up IP movies this year and you already found like 5 better than this.
I'm saying this is a solid version, especially in terms of
I don't think
like,
this movie's terrible. No, but
this
I don't
movie
think
is
it's
made
good.
for us, Cody. Whereas like a lot of those movies are not really made for us. They're made for like we are the core demographic.
Is this movie made for us? It's definitely not made for me. I'll tell you that much. But it's not bad. I don't think this is the worst movie ever, but I don't think it's anywhere near like 4 stars. No offense. Like if you like this movie,
I think it's a bottom
like you too.
half 3.5 star movie.
We don't hate on people who like bad movies, but I just don't like this movie.
Can I throw a couple movies it's close to in rankings? Go ahead, Mina.
I feel like it hit us at the age like just too far past a little bit. Like I think because this book came out around COVID, this movie couldn't have come out any sooner. But I think you're right. It hit the right demographic because we are the people that liked the originals when we were in our adolescence. But I think it missed us by like a year or two, maybe a little bit, as far as being peak when we needed it. You know what I mean? I feel like at this point, everyone's just kind of like, whatever. Yeah. And I think this would have hit a lot more, I think, right before COVID and going into COVID. I think it would have been like, holy fuck.
I agree. The timing is definitely a little bit too late. And I mean, my perspective is kind of like, does this add a ton to like, did we need this in a sense? I don't know. It definitely adds a little bit, but I don't think it's like pivotal to like changing my perspective on those OG movies that much.
I was reading this Medium article that somebody wrote in like 2020. So it's, about how like
we're such a film bro.
No, it was not the greatest article, but it's just like, oh, how the Hunger Games are more relevant than ever with our current political climate. And I just think that like this movie could have been a response to that, but in no way is it. And I think that's the problem that I have, which is like it doesn't really feel resonant, like you said, like maybe it's it just doesn't feel resonant to anything current that's happening. That's probably what I was.
Do you think the originals were?
A little bit, to a certain degree, but I think that's what I was trying to articulate earlier, and maybe I just said it in like 5 words, and when I tried to say in like 30 earlier, but just like it doesn't really feel like resonant to any, like it just doesn't.
But you still like it.
Not a good metaphor for current.
And yet you still rated the highest out of all of it.
That's gotta be Corbin's like most controversial rating, I think. We need to see the other movies that are around like the 45.
Well, I was gonna say,
shout out good ass movies.
Shout out Uncut Gems, Napoleon Dynamite, Avatar. I have this right above Avatar.
It's not that great of movies actually, but Uncut Gems is amazing.
I agree with you. This is above Avatar. Fuck Avatar.
I could get behind that. Yeah. Avatar fucking sucks.
Below The Last Jedi, below Fast 5, below Men in Black, below Halloween.
Well, your Last Jedi rating doesn't even count, so yeah, sure.
Last Jedi's too high, but I agree with it being below all the others you said.
Let's click it on to the next category you might also like.
Who knows? You might like it. It's a killer rush.
If you like The Hunger Games, Ballads of Songbirds and Snakes, what kind of movies would you be interested in watching?
You really got a knot with that.
What do you
accent.
think?
That was bad.
I like the accent.
I've got some other YA adaptations that maybe not like super faithful to the book and like didn't get another one because it didn't go, but Beautiful Creatures, another Viola Davis feature as well. This movie kind of combined the book series into one movie, and it did not receive further sequels because the fans got pissed. But it's just a fun movie to watch if you don't care about that. Obviously, check out the OG Hunger Games series if you haven't. The Giver and The Mortal Instruments. Those are my my recs. If you like this, you should give those all a watch because they're fun. You don't have to have read the book to really understand what's happening.
See, when it comes
controversy within the fans.
So there's like you said Mortal Instrument, and then there's the first one, Beautiful Creatures, and then there's like his Dark Materials. Like there's all these fucking names that are like so adjacent in the like world of
City of Bones or some shit.
Yeah, well that is City of Bones.
Well, that's part of Mortal Instruments.
Oh, okay.
No, Mortal Instruments. Sorry,
I don't know.
That's what I meant to say. all over the place. We love titles. Hunger Games is a good title though.
Beautiful Creatures is about witches. It's not about
Yeah.
dystopian world. That's The Giver. The Giver is dystopia.
Yeah, I just mean that, but they're written. They're the young adult novels with dumb, stupid ass titles.
Wow.
Cody, I mean, it's not like the fucking Winds of Winter or whatever is a good title either, Mr. Martin. Cody, what do you want to recommend to the people?
I definitely had a similar theme to start off. My big YA pick was the first Maze Runner. I actually kind of like that movie, and maybe down the road we can do that one, Korbin. I think that'd be a fun episode. And then along with that too, I mean, bouncing off what Mina said, go watch Catching Fire if you like this movie. Catching Fire is awesome. I really want to rewatch it now because I haven't seen it for a few years. But yeah, really dope Hunger Games movie. And then my last one, again, if you like Hunger Games, you're probably gonna like the original Battle Royale. Get that dub, off. Give me some subtitles here, obviously. But yeah, I think the brutal action, if that's kind of your niche here, go watch Battle Royale because it's amazing.
That was on my list as well in terms of if you want the more violent version, check it out. In terms of kind of dystopian things, these aren't really young adult oriented. They're more, I guess, adult, but Children of Men kind of tackles a lot of these similar ideas. I feel like the government that exists is very similar to like the government that we see in the Hunger Games and like these ideas of peacekeepers and police state. But to me, the ideas are so much more there, and like they dive so much deeper into what that world is about and what does that government mean and why is this society like this, and it's all based on about population and like there's like so much more there. So I think Children of Men. V for Vendetta, a little bit more hit or miss, but I think it's kind of a fun actiony dystopian thing. And Natalie Portman is great in it as well. Let's move on over to the final question.
All right, listen, I got one last question for you.
I'll kick it off here. I have a question for you here, Cody and Mina. Who from the current cast of Survivor, if you were to take them and stick them into a Hunger Games Battle Royale, who would come out on top?
Interesting.
You can go the current cast?
Current season. So season 40.
Fuck me.
Brando, probably not the person.
Brando. I mean, Brando would be one of the hiders for sure. I mean, just from a strength perspective, I feel like Seafood's a pretty good candidate for that. But it is more than that. I mean, it is definitely somewhat of a social game. You always get your groups forming. So with that in mind, I mean, I think Caleb would be a pretty obvious choice because he's kind of got the physical aspect and he's got the insane social aspect. Who else do we have in the cast?
I mean, Austin is an athletic. I think D is a sneaky female.
Kendra. Austin and D are 100% from District 1 and District 2.
Yeah, they do look like rich
pretty
nobodies. I think Kendra would definitely have a dark side if it came to it. So I think she'd be a sneaky pick too.
Julie's dead instantly. She couldn't even lie to people. She was crying about that. She couldn't make it in the Hunger Games. J. Maya, she's Dunzo. Sean Dunzo. Sabaya Dunzo.
What's wrong with J. Maya, dude?
I'm convinced.
Definitely
I'm
dead.
convinced.
First day, panic attack. Before
I'm convinced that Jake wins it all.
Ooh, I like that.
I could see it. He's dumb enough to make it through.
He is. The crowd will be rooting for him. I think he'd get the sponsorship for sure.
Fan favorite. Mina, what's your final question?
Would the two of you be in an alliance with me in the Hunger Games, or would you try to kill us all off?
I would use my specially trained CGI cake making skills to bury myself in mud and hide for the entire thing. You would never see me.
I was asking if you would be in my alliance, so that didn't
I would be by myself hiding, covered with my special cake making mud.
So that was a no. You don't want to be in
a no. He does not want to be in my alliance.
I think
no alliances.
Well,
whatever.
That's not
Peeta and Katniss make it out together. You dummy.
There's tons of alliances. I would say
you're telling me that you don't want to stick with me through the Hunger Games and try to make it out together.
That's pretty messed up.
Hey, listen, I get they made it out, but 73 times before that, nobody was so lucky.
No one ever tried it before.
Just statistics. I'm trying to survive here.
Wow.
I didn't say I was gonna kill you. I said I will bury
Did you hear that?
myself
He's
in
totally
my
fine with me
cake-baking
dying. He's not even trying to
skills.
protect
True,
me.
the true
Hi.
colors are coming out here. Yeah, not great. I would
In
say
the
Mina.
Hunger Games of life, I guess Korbin is not the person.
Let's be honest. Cody's gonna have your back anyway. So
Yeah, I was gonna say I think we'd be a good duo. I would probably go and hide right away too, but yeah, of course. I think if I know somebody going into the Hunger Games, it would be dumb not to have an alliance. But especially, yeah, a good friend like you, Mina, that's an easy yes for me.
Oh yeah, thanks, Cody.
That's how you're supposed to do it, Korbin. All right, my last question here is
why lie?
It's similar theme. It's kind of just more broad. Do you guys think like you would do well in the Hunger Games? And because of course there's a ton of different environments, what do you think would be like your prime environment?
I think I would do okay if it's the wood environment, like the woods from the initial Hunger Games, because I did a lot of tree climbing when I was a kid. I think I could get up high.
I want a water world. No land, all water.
You cannot
You're
swim.
screwed.
I'm a great fucking swimmer. I can hold my breath. I can go underwater. I would do. I don't know what. I know I don't look like a swimmer, but I feel most at home in the water.
I think in the Catching Fire arena, you're dead in about 10 seconds, bud. No offense.
I feel like Korbin, you'd be
Me
running.
and Finnick, 1v1 in a pool, Olympic size. Who's getting to the end first? Let's be real.
I got my money on Finnick, but
well, one of us is alive, so I do not think I would, in general, probably do great. My strategy would be to not go for the cornucopia. I would run, hide, try and get supplies later, pick people off after the initial go about it has gone off. I think I would probably die somewhere in the middle, most likely.
That's fair. I think probably the same for me.
I would go out fighting. I think I wouldn't just like try and hide the entire time, because at some point, like, you just gotta,
You think you could kill somebody?
Well, there's a deep question. I don't know. I think
like
if I was put into a cage and told there's the only way to survive.
That sounded like I don't want to be recorded saying, yeah, I could totally kill someone.
This may be used against you in the court of law, but yeah, go ahead and answer.
Well, you were just trying to get.
Wait.
Do you want me on your team or not? Do you want me to kill people for you or not? Jesus Christ.
You already said you wouldn't.
Exactly. I literally said I'm not gonna fight him. I'm gonna hide. I'm gonna use my cake decorating skills.
Yeah,
you just said you would fight at some point.
You're coming out. Yeah, you just rewind it.
Back me into
He's coming to fight us, Cody. We gotta kill him.
Yeah, when you two are the only two left, then it'll be easy pickings. All right.
We'll get the berries.
Mina,
out.
would you survive? What do you think? What's your strategy?
I think I would. I think I could outlive people. Like, I think that's what would happen is I would strategically move around where I was always either behind them and they didn't know I was there, or I was far enough away from them they didn't know where I was at. Like, I think I'm pretty stealthy. I can make it work.
Do some singing if some snakes show up. Give it your best shot.
I'll poison them. Do some,
Yeah, the question is, could you seduce your mentor into cheating for you? Because I could.
100%. I'm sorry.
My abilities on that.
Oh, guys.
I'm probably screwed at that.
Last book reference. Those two totally kiss in front of all the other tributes and mentors in the book. Like, in public.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Smoochy smooch. And everyone else is just like, whoa, Koryo, good for you, man.
That's interesting. I wish that would have happened too, because that is pretty weird.
Yeah.
All right, I meant to mention that earlier because I thought you guys would like that.
Saving it for the end, a little bite. The 3-movie mini draft. We're drafting.
Well, it is draft day.
Prequel films today. Mina, you get the first pick in this
Alrighty.
draft, and then I'll take the third pick because fuck you, Cody.
I'm fine with
That
that.
seems rigged, but okay. I found a lot of good prequels that I was excited to pick, but my favorite, which I don't think either of you are going to pick, is Mallrats, because technically it's a prequel to Clerks, and I fucking love Mallrats. So I'm taking it because even though I don't think you guys will pick it, I had to stick by it for my first round draft pick.
I love that. Got to stick to your guns.
Shout out Jason Lee of Chipmunks fame.
Shout out Stan Lee as well. Our Captain Marvel episode. He had a Mallrats script, so that's awesome.
Correct.
You left the door open here, Mina. I don't know what Korbin
Sure did.
pick here. I think I'm just going to go. I think he is going to pick this one actually, so I'm going to snipe it early. I'm going to go with X-Men First Class. For me,
Solid.
I mean, prequel wise, it's a little bit slim pickings as we go along here. I think we'll see, but I really, really love just the recast. It's impossible to recast like Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen, and somehow they nailed
And
it.
they did it.
Yeah, with McAvoy and Fassbender. So I love that. I love the Nazi hunting aspect of it too. All around, just a good movie, I think. Yeah.
Definitely a solid pick. It was on my list. It's not what I'm gonna take here, Cody, but with 2 picks, sometimes you gotta go where your heart leads you. Do you consider Days of Future Past to not be a prequel then? Because I would imagine you would have taken that one.
Yeah. No, that's a
At that
sequel. I
point,
mean,
it's
they're in the future. Yeah,
Yeah.
that doesn't count.
fair. They're rewriting history. I'm gonna take a movie that is definitely a prequel to Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. I'm taking Fast 5.
I don't think that counts. I don't think that counts.
I saw that in
how
the
does it
list of
not
prequels,
count?
and I was like, bullshit.
Because we had the 4th one already.
Yeah, but
it's technically a sequel to
So is
other
the
stuff.
4th one also a prequel?
yeah, they're all 3 prequels.
So you
They
can
all-
name
it's a
any
prequel
Fast
trilogy.
and Furious movie and just call it a prequel.
Well, Cody, have you ever heard of the prequel trilogy from Star Wars? The same thing. 4, 5, and 6 in the wonderful Fast franchise is also a trilogy. It's a prequel trilogy. So fuck
No,
you,
but
Cody.
that's the thing. They didn't go like 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6. They went what 1, 2. I don't
Yeah,
know
'cause
how the fuck they did it.
technically-
4,
'Cause
5, 6, then 3.
3, yeah.
5 is
Yeah,
a
but
sequel
only
to the
Well,
3
6
first
and
movie.
3,
I think we don't.
5 is a
7
sequel to
and
the
3 are
first
happening
movie, so I don't think
simultaneously.
it counts.
I think maybe if you said Fast 4, we would take it, but I don't think we can accept Fast 5.
It is literally a prequel.
It's not a
Han-
prequel though. It's a
I
sequel.
don't
to
think
Fast
any,
Four.
I don't think any of them count as prequels unless they're supposedly taking place before the first Fast and the Furious, because that is when
Yeah.
the whole thing starts.
No, the prequel is Tokyo Drift. That's the prequel.
No, Tokyo
It's
Drift
not.
is not the prequel. It's the sequel. It's the far in the future sequel.
No, but I'm saying like Tokyo Drift is 3. What's after that? 4. That was before Tokyo Drift. So then the prequel in my eyes is 4, and then Fast 5 is a sequel to 4. So you can't just pick
They're
5.
not
and call it a
prequels
prequel.
because there's already 2 movies before all of those
That's
that
also
are
true.
setting the stage.
I think you either take Fast 4 or you pick another movie.
For the character of
Cody, but I
Han,
still think they're
it
all
exists
wrong.
as a prequel.
That's we're not, you can't just
We
pick
don't
out
know
a
why.
character and call it.
I'm gonna take Rogue
good.
One, Star Wars Rogue
Fuck,
One.
that's what I was gonna take. God damn it.
Bet you wish I had Fast 5.
Yeah, I fucking went the wrong way.
And then I'm gonna take Puss in Boots, which is also a prequel to the Shrek.
Nice.
That's a good one.
In a recent release that we've talked about on the podcast as well last year with my sister Kendi. So I still feel perfectly good with those 2, even though you guys are a bunch of liars. and
Okay.
cheaters.
Puss in Boots was on my list too. That's a solid
Yeah,
pick.
that was on mine as well, my short list. God, I really wanted Rogue One. I love that movie. I don't know what to take here now. I could take like the prequel Star Wars, but they're all terrible. I think I'm gonna go classic here and just take well, actually I haven't even seen it, so forget it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Cody, don't do that.
I'm gonna take Temple of Doom. I think for an Indiana Jones movie, it's not the best, but it's also not anywhere near the worst. Him like pulling the heart out of the chest, I think is fun enough to kind of carry that into my list. So I'll take Temple of Doom.
Underrated as a prequel. Some people don't realize that, but also a bad movie and pretty problematic. And in my opinion, the worst Indiana Jones.
Worse than
Yes, the one we've done on the show.
Swinging you through the trees, worse than that.
Yes.
Come on, brother. You're going crazy today.
Shia.
Mina, you got back-to-back picks. What are you thinking?
Honestly, I'm pretty psyched because I get 2 of my favorite animation movies now because you guys didn't take them. I'm gonna take with my second pick, Lion King 1.5.
Oh, good pick. I forgot
You
about
two and
that.
your
then-
fucking Lion King 1.5 every time.
Great movie.
With my third pick, I'm gonna go with Monsters University. And
That
I'm
was on
gonna
my list as
enjoy
well.
myself some really solid movies with watching Mallrats, Lion King 1.5, Monsters University.
Not sure
I
it's a
think-
list that wins in a poll, but it's a you list, Mina, and I can appreciate and love
I
that.
stuck to my guns. This is like me.
I love that. I think that's the winning list, honestly. My last pick, I could go Star Wars here, but or Solo, I guess, but I don't want to do that either. I'm gonna go Bumblebee. This is a movie I saw for the first time this year. The soundtrack is awesome in this movie. I think that's by far the best part. Haley Steinfeld, she's past her Ender's Game days, so she's all right. But yeah, there's not much left, so I'll just go with Bumblebee.
Yeah, John Cena doing a lot in that movie. Since I've got the last pick here, kind of throw some thoughts out there. Minions: The Rise of Gru, I'm not a fan of, but the people love. So, that could be, play into the heartstrings. Obviously, you were alluding to The Godfather Part 2, Cody. I also have not seen it, but obviously it's considered the greatest film of all time. So, probably a pretty good prequel as well. Little Bobby D action playing.
I'm shocked you haven't seen The Godfather.
I've seen the first one, just not
Part 2. Yeah, that's wild.
Saving it. One day on.
I haven't seen any of them.
Yeah, I haven't either. We'll get
also, The King's Man, Cody. That's another terrible prequel to an franchise of series.
All I saw of that was the post-credit scene, so, and it was really bad. So
yeah.
Korbin, can I guess what you're gonna take?
Sure.
Just based off of knowing you.
Go ahead.
It's 100% gonna be Lightyear, the prequel to Toy Story, because I know how much you fucking love that movie.
Well, first of all, Lightyear is not a prequel to Toy Story. Lightyear is the movie that canonically Andy saw. So it would not be a prequel. It is literally the in-universe embodiment of Lightyear. So just
it is a prequel because it's how they got the toys.
It's not a prequel of the toys. No.
The toys wouldn't exist without that movie.
It's an in-universe movie. It's not a prequel. Not
like
that's a bullshit. The toys would not exist without that movie.
I'm gonna take Cruella. So
yeah,
there you go.
That's on my short list
too. That's
a
good one. That was on my short list too.
I thought about Wonder Woman. It was down between Cruella and Wonder Woman, but I think Wonder Woman 1984. And again, Wonder Woman is a prequel to the Justice League because the character of Wonder Woman appears in that, and then you get to learn about her past. And exactly, it's a little gray. So Cruella, it's a cut and dry prequel. Paul Walter Hauser, a true king, appears in the movie, and it also has a little bit of an overactive filmmaking. Again, not very many static shots in that one, a lot of steady cam movement, but Emma Stone, she's fantastic, and we're about to be seeing a lot more of her on the awards circuit.
I've got a few other honorable mentions. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
This honorable mention, I think, is what you meant to say.
Shout out Newt Scamander.
That's a good honorable mention. I like it. The Hobbit.
The Smaug trilogy. Desolation.
Pan.
Oh, jeez.
X-Men Origins Wolverine, prequel.
The very first one. People try to block that one.
Terrible.
And then Oz, the Great and Powerful.
That's not as bad. I think that would have been an
They're
okay
all
pick
terrible,
too.
but I
Cody,
was
who directed Oz, Great and
all
Powerful?
These are prequels. This is great.
I feel like it's somebody we've talked about before, but I don't remember.
Sam Raimi.
Jesus, yeah, that's why I don't like Multiverse of Madness.
James Franco. You were just throwing out the who's who of problematic movies. Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah, pretty.
Great and Powerful. X-Men Origins.
Why is Fantastic Beasts problematic?
A little person named Johnny Depp and Ezra Miller. Two people named Johnny Depp and Ezra Miller, and J.K. Rowling. It's like a fucking 3 for 3 trilogy of abusers, transphobes, and
all the above.
I don't know what was going on there. Sorry to all of them.
Not really though.
I mean, the movie's still good, so guess that sucks. But...
I like Mads Mikkelsen. Weekly watches.
Karen, honey, what are you watching?
Cody. Mina, what have we been into, people?
You can kick it off, Mina. What's your Rex?
I've been watching Survivor. You guys got me into that one. So I'm watching my second season. So still new to it, but I'm gonna start going back and watching some old seasons here soon.
Love that. I'll give you some Rex actually.
Thanks. I would actually love that. Korbin and I've been watching White Lotus, and then I have been on a reality TV kick recently, which I think I said probably the last time I was on the pod. But I've been binge watching the TV show Sister Wives. I'm currently in the year 2018 with it. It started in 2010, so we're going.
Getting closer.
It's horrible, but it's about polygamy, which is interesting. So if you want to basically hear these people talk about how they should not be together while arguing that they should be together, watch it, I guess. Yeah.
Sounds fun.
Hell of a review. Cody, what have you been into, man?
I got a few stuff. We haven't done a normal episode for a little bit, and I've been on a bit of a movie craze. First off, too, I checked out The Birdcage, which I had not seen. And that's mostly just because I hate listening to podcasts and I don't know what you guys are talking about. So if you guys have not heard the new KHAP segment starring these two people right here, definitely go check it out. I really liked the first episode. I haven't checked out the second one because I haven't seen The Informant yet. So I'll come back.
What'd you think of The Birdcage, Cody?
I like The Birdcage a lot. I think Robin Williams specifically, I was surprised that I had not seen that just because his performance is amazing. And then everybody else too is really awesome as well. Nathan Lane, of course, is a standout. Kind of their duality I thought was really, really well just on screen. The son character, he's a bit of a dick. I didn't love him. But everything else, like this movie is just like good vibes all around. So I liked it a lot, and I liked you guys' episode on it too. So easy plug, but go check that out if you haven't seen it yet. And then some other random crap I've been into as well. It's Thanksgiving season, and I had never seen Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, so I checked that out. I mean, John Candy, what a national treasure. R.I.P. Obviously. And him and Steve Martin together is a really fun duo, especially with Steve Martin just freaking out the entire movie. The specific just F-bomb scene, I was a big fan of, and I love how it's like a rated R movie, but that's literally the only scene with like any sort of R rating in it. So I'm just glad that was included. It's kind of surprising coming from like a John Hughes movie that there's a scene like that too. I like it. I'd recommend it. I might start watching it every Thanksgiving because it does have really good like just Thanksgiving vibes. Other than that, I've been back in the theaters too, surprisingly. I checked out Saltburn, a very interesting flick. I think it'll probably get nom for Best Picture if I'm being honest, just for kind of its stylistic choices, which I really, really like. I know Korbin's not as high, but I actually enjoy this movie a good deal. It's kind of like, I don't think you've seen The Favorite, Korbin, but it's kind of like The Favorite, just a lot worse.
Cody, it's the talented Mr. Ripley, but like 1,000 times worse. It is like beat for beat, bar for bar. It's just like a shitty version of that movie.
Well, I haven't seen that to be fair either. I think Willem Dafoe's in there, right?
Matt Damon, Jude Law.
Yeah, I know. I thought Willem Dafoe was my side character. Obviously, it's fucking Matt Damon.
It's got one man from the Hunger Games.
Dane DeHaan?
No.
Josh Hutcherson? I don't know. Jack Quaid. Do you know Jack Quaid's in the first Hunger Games movies? I found that out recently. Anywho, I like Saltburn. I would recommend going check
Seymour
it out.
Hoffman, Cody.
Oh, you can't think of the name. Philip Seymour. R.I.P. to him as well. Great actor. But I would recommend Saltburn. I think Barry Keoghan is really good. There's definitely some shocking stuff, so I would say that obviously. I think it's interesting, and I do have some major issues. I won't go into full spoiler stuff, but I'd recommend it. And then kind of backing off that too, I did check out Promising Young Woman, who basically it's the same director. What's her name, Corman? Something
Emerald Fennell.
Emerald Fennell, yeah, it's a weird name, but I do like her directorial style. And I don't know, I think I do like Promising Young Woman a little bit better.
I think the ending of that movie's insane, dude.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I don't really like the ending. That's kind of the big thing for me. That I get what she was going for 100%.
It's a tough movie, both of us as men, to like really talk about and like say that we should have like a strong feeling or opinion on like what the right thing in that situation is. But to me, it's like just the wrong fucking message, and it's just kind of like gross and sad the way that movie ends.
Yeah, but that's the entire point too, obviously.
So I can't speak on it as the woman in the podcast.
Unfortunately. But I really liked it regardless. If you like the ending, if you don't like the ending, I think everything up to that point is pretty solid cinema. So I'm excited to see what she does going forward. But honestly, out of those two, I may prefer Saltburn. It's really close. I think they're both really good movies, if I'm being honest.
I prefer Saltburn. I think like visually it's like a step up. Yeah, like that's the thing. I think like
you don't even like Saltburn though.
Yeah, I don't really like Promising Young Woman that much either, Cody.
I like them both. I'm on board. Get on the Emerald Fennell train here, because I think she's gonna be a big name in a few years.
I mean, she's an Oscar winner. She won an Oscar for Promising Young Woman.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes, it was the COVID year, so if you want to say Mickey Mouse bubble, LeBron's championship doesn't count, whatever, that's fine. But like,
I mean, that's
still an Oscar winner.
Well, you just said it, so fair enough. But my last one, I also checked out this new Peacock film. I believe it's got to be a Peacock original. It's called Please Don't Destroy the Treasure of Foggy Mountain. It's basically just like that new SNL kind of group that came out of nowhere on the internet. who are called Please Don't Destroy. I
Couple
thought it was
Nepo
good.
babies.
Yeah, a little stupid, just dumb comedy. I'm on board. So I thought it was good. I would recommend that as well. But that was everything I got. Corbin, I'll throw it over to you.
Yeah, so me and I have been doing MK300, so we've got a couple of those episodes that we've already recorded that'll be getting released upcoming. I can tease the next one is actually going to be a double feature episode, so a little 2-for-1 with Enough Said and You Hurt My Feelings that Mina talked about earlier. And then we've got some more coming in the pipeline that everybody can be excited about. On top of that, I've been
many more.
When is one of my picks gonna come in? Come on, guys, what's going on?
Corbin hasn't told me your
well, Kody,
picks,
there's
so I can't even try to sneak it in.
there's 300 movies and you picked 5, so that's
Corbin's gatekeeping the list, so I don't actually get to see who picked what.
That doesn't surprise me for some reason. Go for it. I cut you off. I'm sorry.
I did also go see Maestro in theaters. I got to go to a screening with little Bradley Cooper and Carey Mulligan in attendance to do a Q&A afterwards, and I really liked the movie. I liked it way more than I expected to. In comparing it to recent composer movies, looking at it against Tar of last year, I like Tar a lot more. I love Tar, but I still think this is like a really fantastic movie. It's one of my top 5s of the year so far. And Bradley Cooper, 2 for 2 as a director. A Star is Born and Maestro are both just like pretty close to masterpieces. 2 like 4.5-star movies for me. And I'm excited to see what he does next. He's very committed to the craft. He's been working on this movie for years and was really dedicated about getting the character right, getting the details right. The family was heavily involved in the production, and I'm sure we'll be talking about it more, a lot more in the coming months as the awards race heats up. And I think it comes out officially on Netflix around Christmas time. So check it out when it does. On top of that, Mina and I saw Next Goal Wins in theaters. Mina, thoughts on Next Goal Wins?
I liked it. It's the kind of movie though that I would enjoy. Like, it's fun. It's based on a true story. It's heartwarming. I like Taika Waititi, so I enjoy his random pop-ups in all of his movies. Fassbender's fun in it. It's kind of a weird role for him, I think, but all in all, I liked it.
Yeah, I think it's so tough when we see 2 Michael Fassbender movies come out within about a month of each other with The Killer and Next Goal Wins, and you see how The Killer is like the perfect execution of who he can be as an actor and like the exact fit for the type of thing that he can really excel at. And then you see Next Goal Wins and it's like, this is the complete opposite of what he should be doing. And he's doing like a half-assed performance in it. He's got a fucking terrible prosthetic beard for half the movie. Like you said, Taika Waititi, if you're out on Taika, then this movie is not going to be for you because it's full of the Taika-isms. He inserts himself into the opening shots of the movie and does some narration. It's it's an okay sports movie. The story is, like you said, it's heartwarming, it's cute. It's about a group of people that we never get to really see on screen. So I think those aspects are cool. But overall, it's just like a lot of strange choices that were made, weird things with the pacing, the editing, some strange jump cuts. This movie was supposed to be released in like 2019, and there's clearly a reason that it's existed and sat on a shelf for this long, and it's finally getting pushed out.
That's so mean. I hate when you say shit like that.
There's a fucking reason these things happen. I think Taika's doing all right. He's got a fucking fat paycheck.
I didn't say it had anything to do with Taika. He's not the only person in this fucking movie. Name movies that those other actors have been in since this movie was made. Exactly. Other than Fassbender. You know what I mean? Like, there's other people in the movie. But I'm just saying, like, there's other extenuating circumstances, whether or not you think a movie's done well, that maybe why it's on the shelf.
It's fine. It's not that great. It's kind of a bad version of.
I'm going to see it eventually. I almost saw it last weekend, but I slept in too much. But it looks all right. I like soccer, and
I don't think you necessarily have to see it in theaters, though, Kody.
Yeah,
no, it feels.
I mean, you don't have to see anything really, but yeah, that's true.
My big thing is that I've seen the things that Taika did in his early career with Hunt for the Wilder People, and even What We Do in the Shadows, which is much more comedy driven. Those movies still have a ton of fucking heart in them. And it feels like somebody who's actually trying to tell a story about people that he cares about and is trying to do something that isn't just there to like make a joke out of every single moment, and like actually wants to put some real emotion and heart into stuff. And this movie just feels like even in the most serious of moments, there's going to be some like ball joke or something, like, you know, like, or a fart joke. Like, it's just, it feels half-assed. And when you've seen somebody who in their early work does stuff that feels so mature and so impressive, and then now it's just like, this is, the expectations are so much higher. I believe in you, Taika. I want to see better things out of you. And then a movie that I liked even less from another director that we know is capable of doing great things, Ridley Scott's Napoleon. That's a fucking mess of a movie that Mina and I went and saw last weekend. I mean, it's 2 hours and 40 minutes. And I said it at the top of the podcast. Ridley Scott said he has a 4-hour cut of the movie. I 100% believe it. Napoleon's life is that dense, but what you're left with when you cut it to pieces is an emotionless fucking epic with just a bunch of battles and a guy with daddy issues saying "mama, mama" to Vanessa Kirby, which, like, okay, I get it, but like, come on, chill out.
I fell asleep.
Yeah,
it was trash.
You guys are hyping it up. I'm excited to see it.
The Austerlitz fight sequence, which is when I looked over and Mina was asleep, is like actually incredible filmmaking. Like, there's some amazing shots of like cannonballs.
You didn't wake me up?
I tried to nudge you, going into the water, and like it's really bloody, and like there's some cool staging set pieces, and it feels grand and epic in a way that Ridley Scott has done in the past, you know, with, you know, Gladiator. Like, it feels more akin to that kind of stuff. Kingdom of Heaven, even, you know, The Last Duel that nobody saw.
Exodus, Gods and Kings. That's
Exodus,
a good one.
Gods and Kings. Great movie, Cody.
I got you. Christian Bale.
But like, he can do big fucking, he can capture big senses of scale, but this is a movie that's like, again, breakneck pace through 50 years of what is honestly pretty complicated French history. And maybe I'd like to see them dive into how the government and what they're standing for a little bit more. Cause it's just like also surface level.
I think that would have made it more interesting too. Cause it's just like, Napoleon's not in power. Bam, he's in power. Bam, he sucks. He's no longer in power. Like,
yeah,
okay,
exactly.
cool.
And it's like, why was he ever a person that people wanted to follow behind? We don't really get a good sense of why. Like, you see him smart as a tactician, but he's not like necessarily a good leader to his people or like a good general. And also at the end, there's like this hackneyed thing of like, oh, this is how many people died, and like all this stuff, like this as the result of the Napoleonic Wars and all of his like, but like, that's not what the movie's about. The movie doesn't give a shit about these like regular people who are laying down their lives until the final moment. So I don't even really know what it's trying to say. Vanessa Kirby is good,
only cares
but she doesn't have anything to do.
No, yeah. It only cares about those lives when it's trying to point out that Napoleon's on his downhill slide.
Yeah.
Right? Like, then they start pointing it out.
How many people
in the movie
died then.
I just like, if we're talking about people in the right movie, this feels like a Joaquin Phoenix role, though. Like, he's doing exactly what you would expect Joaquin Phoenix to do, and he does it well.
But the rest, I don't know if the rest of the movie is doing it.
Stupid. It's why was this movie made? I don't know.
Yeah, Napoleon. He's a guy. Great man.
About Napoleon.
It was a big swing, but
I don't even know. Am I supposed to care about him? Like, I feel like that this movie is supposed to be like, here's this guy that you should want to know about.
It's the thing of like, how often do you think about the Roman Empire? Like, he's obviously an important figure in the history of the world, but in terms of like the impact that he actually has on like our day-to-day life, I feel is pretty minimal. And
I learned more about him in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure than I did in this movie.
Great movie.
I think that's all you have to really say about Ridley Scott's Napoleon. Mina, thank you once again for coming back on the show. And this is a long one. Guys. If you've made it this far, you would love to go. You would love listening to MK300 as well if you listen to this episode.
Facts.
So go check that out. And I guess we're not going to be doing a ballad movie next week, but I think we got a little bit of a game night planned. So look forward to that.
Ooh.
And Mina might be making another appearance.
Number 7, baby.
It's number 7's coming quick. We love
it. Thank you for listening.
Bye, guys.
And may the odds be ever in your favor.
Stay Gavin.
Thanks. What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.